Chapter 645. Hearing this, the young man's eyes were filled with a strange light. A playful smile appeared on his face as he said to Lin Rei, since that's the case, why didn't you leave me outside and instead brought me into this secret realm? I'm very curious. Curious? Looking at the young man, Lin Rei smiled and said in a low voice, That's right, I'm very curious, especially you. I'm very curious about someone like you, especially someone who has the cultivation of a god emperor at such a young age. I have to say you're a rare genius. At this moment, the more Lin Rei looked at the young man, the more curious he became. Moreover, I want to know what kind of person you are. With such a stable cultivation base, for a family or sect to have such a person, it's likely that the entire world knows about it. If it's an empire, it's even more impossible. Lin Rei's analysis caused the young man's eyes to shine. However, he didn't answer Lin Rei's question. Instead, he quietly looked at Lin Rei and froze what he was going to say. So, I'm certain that you're not from the god realm. Looking at the young man, Lin Rei knew what the young man meant, but he didn't stop. Of course, other than that, I don't want to know who you are. As for why I helped you in, it's because I'm too lazy to do it. So, you don't need to be suspicious. After saying this, Lin Rei didn't say anything else. He turned around and looked at Chu Xiai and Yun Kai. He said in a low voice, Let's go in. Take care of yourselves. Yes. Yes, young master. At this moment, Chu Xiai and Yun Kai, who were listening to Lin Rei's analysis, were stunned when they heard this. However, they quickly came back to their senses and hurriedly replied, Let's go. Looking at the two, Lin Rei didn't say anything else. At this moment, the giant door had opened a crack. However, it was only a crack. It was enough for everyone to enter. Even if there were hundreds of people, it wouldn't be a problem. Oh, that's right. Although you were brought in by me, if you encounter anything related to interest, you must believe that I will absolutely not be lenient. Of course, if you don't believe me, you can give it a try. Just as Lin Rei and the other two were about to enter the giant door, Lin Rei stopped. Without turning his head, he spoke to the young man behind him with a murderous aura. Then, without stopping, he stepped into the giant door and entered the secret realm. Interesting. In the instant that Linley disappeared into the giant door, that person arrived at the place where Linley had been standing. His eyes were filled with a strange light as he stared at the crack in the giant door, a hint of a smile on his face. TSK, but since we've already entered this place, it's not up to you to decide. Although you're very strong, I, Long Tian, will not give it to you. Moreover, I don't think I'm any weaker than you. The young man who called himself Long Tian muttered to himself arrogantly as he looked at the huge door. I advise you not to have such thoughts. At this moment, just as Long Tian was looking at the giant door and fantasizing, a cold woman's voice suddenly rang out, pulling him back to reality from his imagination. Returning to reality, Long Tian turned to look at Hong Lian, who was still kneeling on the ground, and asked with interest and curiosity, Why? Sigh. Hong Lian sighed when she saw how affectionate Long Tian was. Then, she replied, You can imagine how terrifying the young master is. Moreover, the young master's strength is not limited by your imagination. So what if you're an emperor god? You're still no match for the young master. Hearing this, Long Tian became even more curious, especially after hearing Hong Lian's words. He was even more curious about Lin Rei. Moreover, the young master is decisive. In the immortal world, he once destroyed a few sects and 3 empires because of a young lady's death. After that, the overlord of the immortal world became the 9 Heavens Xuanzong Sect, which is the sect that the young master created. Oh? The 9 Heavens Xuanzong Sect? Hearing Hong Lian's words, Long Tian was pleasantly surprised. He did not make a sound throughout the whole process. When Hong Lian finished speaking, Long Tian curiously said the name of the Xuanzong sect and then fell silent. Alright, I'm not going to talk to you anymore. I'm going to go in and catch up with him. I've already returned to the young master's sect. Seeing Long Tian fall silent, Hong Lian stood up from the ground and looked through the gap in the giant door. There was nothing but darkness. Even so, Hong Lian's eyes were filled with determination. She did not waver at all. Then, she used her cultivation and disappeared from the spot. A red stream of light instantly rushed into the giant door and disappeared without a trace, like a hairy ox entering the sea. Haha, so anxious. The moment Hong Lian entered the mystery land, Long Tian, who was in a daze, came back to his senses. When he sensed that Hong Lian's aura was gone, he knew that she had entered the mystery land. Sigh, forget it. I'll go and take a look. I came out this time to enter the mystery land and find out the secret method to become a saint. This is exactly what I wanted. Long Tian came back to his senses and saw that there was no one around. Then, he relaxed and his body flashed. In an instant, he rushed into the giant door and disappeared. Fated person, I can feel that your body is full of energy. I hope that you can become my successor. Come, let me pass on all my martial arts to you. Come. At this moment, in a pitch-black space, Linley, who had been the first to enter the secret realm, led Chu Ci and the other two out of the pitch-black space. Their surroundings were originally calm and peaceful, but who would have thought that at this moment, an extremely ancient voice, filled with hunger and delight, would suddenly ring out. Linley instantly heard this voice. Young master, at this moment Chu Ci, who was following behind him, had a worried expression on his face. Just a moment ago, when that ancient voice appeared, he suddenly felt a thirst for those words from the depths of his heart, as if he was about to lose control of himself. Haha! Yes, there are 8 great formations at the entrance. I didn't expect to encounter such a formation as soon as we entered. It seems that this place is not simple. He naturally knew about Chu Ci's situation. Neither he nor Yun Kai had such thoughts. The reason why Chu Ci could feel such a strong urge in his heart was because his cultivation was weak. Therefore, his state of mind was even less resolute. Therefore, the most important thing for cultivators was their state of mind, followed by their cultivation. Chu Ci, who did not understand, retreated to Yun Kai's side with a face full of doubt. He looked around with a worried expression. Don't worry, young master is here. Besides, if you can't even pass this place, then you're pill poison. At this moment, looking at her fiancé, Yun Kai's heart softened and she tried to dissuade him. Haha, this little girl. It seems that having her around is indeed a good thing for Chu Ci. He naturally knew about the situation behind him. Although he had said before that he would not interfere, he would not interfere. How could he bear to part with such a useful person to the sect? Sigh, looks like I have to help him refine the pill poison as soon as possible. Only then can he truly grow back. Lin Rei thought to himself as he became vigilant. Alright, be careful later, he said to the people behind him. Then, he led the two of them into the pitch-black darkness ahead. During this journey, the mysterious voice kept appearing. Moreover, the temptation grew stronger and stronger. Come, I will teach you the most advanced cultivation method in the world. Come, I will teach you all the martial arts I know. As long as you are willing, I can let you break through to the saint realm in an instant. As long as you are willing, I can let you become the ruler of the saints' world. Come, become my disciple. Only then will you be able to stand at the peak of the world and become the ruler of this ability. Temptations that made one's hair stand on end appeared one after another. It had to be said that this mysterious voice truly understood the human heart. And at this moment, Lin Rei, who had a firm state of mind, actually trembled because of one of the words just now. F***ck, you brat, I'm telling you, you must not waver your mind, okay? At this moment, just as Lin Rei's heart was trembling, the little dragon's voice was directly transmitted to Lin Rei's mind from the system. Lin Ray could not help but laugh at this. Don't worry. Knowing that the little dragon was worried, Lin Ray said to him, "When I first came in, I realized that this place could cause people with weak minds to waver. Therefore, I have been using my mental strength to observe the eye of this formation." Then, at this moment, after hearing Lin Ray's words, the little dragon, who was angry because of Lin Ray's trembling heart, immediately calmed down and asked in confusion, "Be careful, I've found it, and this time, it's destined to make me, Lin Ray, rich." Lin Ray, who knew what the little dragon wanted to ask, did not wait for him to finish speaking and hurriedly swallowed. "Tsk, don't be so full of yourself, brat. The danger here is far from as simple as you think. That's all I have to say, take care." The little dragon, who could read one's thoughts and feelings, felt a trace of pride from Lin Ray's heart and immediately disappeared after saying this to him. Old man, really." Feeling that the little dragon had blocked his voice, Lin Ray's face showed a helpless expression for a moment and shook his head. Then, his face turned serious. "Be careful, this is an illusory formation. Keep your minds and don't let it take advantage of you, do you understand?" At this moment, Lin Ray was not worried about himself, but he was worried about Chu Si and Yun Kai behind him. In response, Lin Ray turned around and said to the two of them. Then, he sat down cross-legged and his consciousness rushed out in an instant, rushing towards the eye of the formation that his mental energy had sensed earlier. Understood. Seeing Lin Ray's actions, Chu Si and Yun Kai hurriedly took a step back. Then, like Lin Ray, their faces turned serious and they began to stabilize their invisibility, not allowing the illusory formation to interfere with them. At this moment, in a virtual space, Lin Ray, who had turned into a consciousness, came to a mountain peak and looked up at the top. For a moment, a trace of a smile appeared on his face. I didn't expect this formation to give birth to its own space. It seems that the person who set up this formation is an extremely powerful person. Looking at the top of the mountain, Lin Ray could not help but sigh in his heart. Lin Ray was very envious of this formation in front of him, because being able to open up a space for a formation meant that this formation already had a life of its own. This was the dream of every formation master. Of course, this was only on the level of his thoughts. Looking at the mountain peak in front of him, Lin Ray did not hesitate. Once he thought of Chu Si and Yun Kai outside, he could not climb for even a moment. Instantly, he soared into the sky and rushed towards the top of the mountain. Not long after, Lin Ray flew for a short while and reached the top of the mountain. His feet landed on the ground. There was no one on the top of the mountain, except for a tree in the middle of the mountain. Strangely, there was only a blood-red fruit growing on the tree, all by itself. Could this be the eye of the formation? At this moment, looking at the red fruit, a trace of doubt appeared on Lin Ray's face. As a formation master, he naturally knew about the eye of a formation. However, in the past, he usually did not know that the eye of a formation was mostly a formation flag, a few top-grade artifacts, or at least some spirit stones or spiritual items. As for the one in front of him, he had never seen one before. "Boy, you're underestimating me. Do you believe that I won't throw you down right now?" At this moment, just as Lin Ray was still thinking about the blood-red fruit in his mind, a childish voice suddenly sounded. Immediately, Lin Ray was stunned. "Who is it? Who's talking?" Hearing this voice, Lin Ray was momentarily stunned. He glanced around and did not see anyone. Then, Lin Ray turned his attention to the strange red fruit that he had a deep impression of. "Tisk, coward!" Swoosh. The childish sound rang out once more, and a red ray of light shot out from the red fruit. Finally, it transformed into a palm-sized figure that appeared in front of Linley. It looked at Linley with a look of contempt, and its eyes were filled with disdain. "Boy, you're looking down on me. Do you know that I'm the spirit of this life illusion formation?" "What? Spirit of the formation?" Shock. At this moment, Lin Ray was completely shocked. He had heard of the term spirit of the formation before. The spirit of the formation was the representative of the divine formation. That's not right. Isn't the spirit of the formation only on the divine formation? This formation is at most a peak honorable level formation. Who are you trying to fool? However, at this moment, Linley seemed to have thought of something and hurriedly opened his mouth to question. "Tsk, I didn't expect a country bumpkin like you to know so much." At this moment, hearing Lin Ray's explanation, the red figure who called himself the spirit of the formation looked disappointed. His arrogant temperament also wilted at this moment. He was completely different from the high-spirited and domineering child from before. Chapter 646. Linley was puzzled by the disappointment of the child, who called himself the formation spirit. He didn't understand why. Just as Lin Ray was puzzled, the child's voice rang out. His voice was filled with vicissitudes, disappointment, and fear. It was as if what he was about to say was terrifying. "I was originally the spirit of a god-level magic array. Back in the untainted land, I was a product of heaven and earth. However, due to various reasons, after a calamity, my spiritual body was damaged." At this moment, the child's face was filled with excitement. "But that was nothing. As long as I had enough time, I could return to my peak. Originally, I thought nothing would happen until I recovered. After all, I was an illusion of a magic array. However, after who knows how many years, a man who called himself a martial sage suddenly came to my training ground and forcibly cut off my restored vitality. Since then, I have become a spirit of a magic array that could not return to its peak. Damn, a product of the untainted land." Hearing the child's words, Lin Ray's face revealed a trace of shock. He did not expect the child, who called himself a spirit of a magic array, to have such a big mouth. "But later, I don't know why, but that person told me to wait here and watch over the entrance. As long as there were intruders, I was to kill them and then keep their essence. Just like that, I became like this, neither human nor ghost, an array spirit that couldn't return to its original form for the rest of its life." At this point, the child shrouded in red light began to cry. Sparkling and translucent tears dripped down from his eyes onto the ground. However, at this moment, a strange scene occurred. At the place where the tears of shock fell, a green plant broke out of the ground at this moment, and a good vitality spread out in all directions. Damn, Lin Ray, who had been observing this scene, was stunned. With such ability, even if he was not a god-level spirit of a magic array, just this alone was enough to make the world fight endlessly. One had to know that this was only a teardrop. What if it was his blood? What if it was his real body? Thinking about it, this thing could definitely be said to be a very powerful spiritual medicine. Anyway, from the lower realm until now, Lin Ray had never seen such an existence. "What? Do you want me to?" These sudden words caused Lin Ray's body to tremble. He immediately came back to his senses, and a trace of guilt appeared in his heart. It would be a lie to say that he didn't want it. Therefore, Lin Ray straightened his face and replied, "That's right. Of course I want such a godly item. Moreover, if I say that I don't want it, wouldn't that make me seem shameless? You won't believe me even if I say so." Linley's answer caused a strange expression to appear on the formation spirit's face. At this moment, it felt a little sympathy for the person in front of it. Even though I miss you very much, I won't use force. You have spiritual intelligence as well. Therefore, what I want to say is, follow me. I won't end up like the martial saint that you speak of." Looking at the formation spirit, Lin Ray's heart fluttered with a trace of nervousness. To be honest, he couldn't guarantee whether Shock would agree or not. "Of course you can object. However, you have to think carefully. I can take you to the outside world. Moreover, if there's a chance, I'll look for something that can restore your strength. Hearing this, the formation spirit's body turned to one side, and a trace of hesitation appeared on its face. For Lin Rei, the formation spirit who had been imprisoned here for many years was undoubtedly the greatest temptation in the world. Of course, the right to choose is yours. Only you have the right to choose. I don't. Sensing Shock's hesitation, Lin Rei was delighted. He knew that there was hope in this matter. Then, he threw out an even more moving olive branch to Shock. You can choose not to believe me. Besides, I'm not asking you to believe me. I'll go out now. If you've thought it through, come out of the formation. I'll wait for you outside. Of course, if you don't agree, it's fine. At most, I'll lose a good friend or comrade. Hearing this, Lin Rei didn't wait for the formation spirit's response. Immediately, his body connected with his body and instantly disappeared before the formation spirit's eyes and returned to his body. Formation spirit Tisk in the secret space, Lin Rei, who had returned to his body, had a look of anticipation on his face. After that, he returned to normal and began to recover. At this moment, Lin Rei's awakening was completely unknown to Chu Ci and Lin Rei. At this moment, the two of them were cultivating hard and didn't have time to care about anything else. Are we going out or not? I'm going crazy. At this moment, Linley did not know that the moment he left the space of the formation, the originally serious formation spirit immediately changed its expression. Its voice was filled with anticipation, but it was also very hesitant. It was contradicting itself as it asked and answered its own question. No, he must be lying to me. Yes, he must be lying to me. Back then, the martial saint had already said that as long as I continued to gather life essence for him, he would help me return to my peak after a certain period of time. Furthermore, he would help me return to my peak. No, that's not right. For so many years, he never appeared. For so many years, I was the only one who stayed in the dark space of the formation. No one could talk to me. Maybe this is an opportunity for me to regain my freedom and return to the outside world. Maybe what that young man said is right. In the past he could really help me return to my peak. No, how could it be that person was lying to me? How could it be? How could I not know my own body? No, that's not right. He can't. He can. He can help me regain my freedom. Just like this, the formation spirit seemed to move. It covered its head with both hands and hid in the air. The tears in its eyes couldn't stop flowing and showed no signs of stopping. And at this moment, the ground that was soaked by the shock would be like before. In the next moment, the plants would frantically rush out of the ground and begin to grow. The speed was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, the plants that had just rushed out of the ground would become towering trees. Lin Rei was completely unaware of this scene. At this moment, he was immersed in recovering his divine sense and mental energy. Although he had consumed a lot of mental energy when he entered the formation space, it could be recovered as long as he cultivated. Wait for me, beautiful. At this moment, in a pitch-black space, a man and a woman were walking in tandem. At this moment, the young man walking in the back was speechlessly talking to the woman in red who was walking in front of him. I say, I'm not familiar with you. Why do you insist on following me? Moreover, I can't do anything about it. The person who spoke was Red Lotus, who was following closely behind Lin Rei. Originally, she was very satisfied after entering the secret realm by herself. However, who would have thought that not long after, a young man would call out to her from behind. Red Lotus immediately became alert. However, who would have thought that when she arrived in front of him, the young man would say that he wanted to follow her. Regarding this, the space was very helpless. It tried several times to get rid of him, but in the end it couldn't do anything. The young man was Long Tian, who was following closely behind Red Lotus. He was the mysterious young man. Tisk, anyway, I don't care. You may be helpless, but I'm very comfortable. Moreover, it's so dark here. It's inevitable that I'll be a little lonely. At this point, the young man winked at Red Lotus. Moreover, you're not strong enough. Isn't it good that you have me, the God Emperor, to protect you? Therefore, it'll definitely be beneficial for us to travel together. But I don't want to. Red Lotus was completely speechless. She never would have thought that this was the reason he was following her. I know. You must think that my identity is mysterious, so you don't dare to let me follow you. Just as Red Lotus was speechless, she didn't know what Long Tian was thinking. At this point, Long Tian hurriedly spoke of his identity. I, Long Tian, have the cultivation of a middle-stage God Emperor. Although my cultivation isn't that great, my combat power is still one of the best. As he spoke, a trace of pride appeared on Long Tian's face. He then continued, Demon race, the eldest son of Devil Capital's Long clan. Although this identity isn't much to me, it's still quite convenient in the demon world. What? You're from the demon world? Just as Long Tian revealed his identity, a cry of surprise rang out from Hong Lian's mouth. Hong Lian was stunned on the spot. Her face was filled with shock and disbelief. She had once guessed Long Tian's identity, but she never would have thought that Long Tian's identity would be so shocking. Furthermore, the deity world didn't allow anyone from the demon world to appear. As long as someone from the demon world was discovered, everyone in the deity world, regardless of whether they had enmity or not, would unite to deal with the demon world. Furthermore, this was the first time she had seen someone from the demon world. Previously, she had been imagining how someone from the demon world would look like. Now, she saw them all, although this encounter was very coincidental. At this moment, Long Tian, who had revealed his identity, saw the shock on Red Lotus' face. Immediately, he revealed an amused smile. What? Could it be that you're like those old pedantic sects in the deity world, discriminating against people from the demon world? No, no. Hearing Long Tian's words, Red Lotus came back to her senses and replied without thinking. I don't think there's anything wrong with the people from the demon world. The great path leads to the same destination. Although the cultivation of the demon world is slightly different from that of the deity world, they're all cultivators, and they're all moving in the same direction. Furthermore, you're all living under the great path of the Tendo. This is enough to prove that you're recognized by the great path. Therefore, I don't discriminate against you. Red Lotus raised her head and smiled at Long Tian. Her tone was gentler than before. I was shocked earlier because you suddenly said that you're from the demon world. I didn't get over it for a moment, so please don't take it to heart. After saying that, Red Lotus stepped forward and walked forward as she spoke. Haha, the great path leads to the same destination. TSK, not bad at all. I didn't expect you to have such thoughts. At this moment, Long Tian's face lit up as he listened to Red Lotus. His tone was filled with shock, as if he didn't expect Red Lotus to say this. This was because, in his memory, people from the deity world wouldn't usually do this. Everyone would draw their swords and fight until all the people from the demon world were killed. This is what my young master told me before. As for the demon world and other worlds, I don't know much about them. With that, Red Lotus revealed a look of disappointment. Clearly, she thought of Lin Ray. TSK, if that's the case, I'm even more curious about your young master. He can break the formation and has a cultivation of the middle stage God Emperor realm. Furthermore, I can feel that he's stronger than me. He's very strong. I'm not his opponent. Long Tian revealed a look of curiosity as he spoke. However, under this curiosity, there was a vigorous battle intent. You should give up on this thought. Also, don't challenge my young master's bottom line. This isn't something you can bear. Even if you're from the demon world, you can't bear it. How could Red Lotus not feel Long Tian's battle intent? But after the conversation just now, she felt that Long Tian was a magnanimous person. she immediately advised him against it. With that, Red Lotus closed her mouth and sped up. As for Long Tian, who was following closely behind her, he knew what Red Lotus meant. He didn't ask for a snub and just kept quiet. Just like Red Lotus, he sped up and chased after her. However, not far from them, Lin Rei was sitting there. His face was covered in sweat, but there was a smile on his face. It was as if a good thing had happened. TSK, the big fish has finally taken the bait. At this moment, Lin Rei stood up from the ground without any warning. Then, he faced the east and revealed a mysterious expression. You're really good at fooling. A godly realm array spirit was actually fooled by you. At this moment, the little dragon's voice suddenly appeared in Lin Rei's mind. It was full of laughter. Ha, that can't be helped. You've seen it too. How can I give up such a good thing? Moreover, I didn't lie to him. If he follows me, he will definitely be free. Although I haven't seen his abilities completely, it doesn't mean that he won't be able to. So, I didn't lie to him. Lin Rei despised the little dragon's use of the word fool, and immediately responded. You're really good at talking. Anyway, I can't outtalk you. At this moment, in the system, the little dragon was standing alone by a clear spring. It had a helpless smile on its face as it responded to Lin Rei. However, since you've already promised him, you have to fulfill it as soon as possible. As for the method to cure the array spirit, I'll discuss it with the system over the next few days and give you a method as soon as possible. However, I don't have time to contact you about this. You have to be careful. Here, you have to be vigilant at all times. Otherwise, your life will be in danger. Chapter 647. That's great. Lin Rei was happy to hear the little dragon's words. Initially, he had agreed to the formation spirit in a hurry. Words spoken in that kind of situation were often caused by excitement. At this moment, since the little dragon had taken the initiative to say it, he could not be bothered to throw away his dignity and beg for help. This was the best outcome he could hope for. I knew that you only wanted to be happy when you agreed. In the end, I still have to clean up your mess. At this moment, the little dragon in the system sensed Lin Rei's emotional expression and immediately saw through his inner thoughts. Forget it, since you've already agreed, I'll naturally help you. However, as I said earlier, I have to stay in the system for this period of time, so I don't have time to help. Alright, I know. You don't have time to help me, and you're afraid that I'll cause trouble on impulse, right? Without waiting for the little dragon to finish speaking, Lin Rei knew what he wanted to say next. Without waiting for him to say anything, Lin Rei said on his own accord, I know. Go ahead, I'll be careful during this period of time. Moreover, we've just met a god-level formation spirit. Tell me, do you think I'll let my guard down in this situation? I'm not a fool, I won't rush forward, so don't worry. Lin Rei's heart warmed at the little dragon's worry, but at this moment, the little dragon was speechless. Sigh, it's good that you know. However, this time it's true. Moreover, you always say this, but in the end you amaze the world with a single brilliant feat, so, you must remember, don't be impulsive. Sigh. Seeing the little dragon so long-winded, Lin Rei frowned for a moment and immediately stopped him. Alright, if you have the time, why don't you hurry up and find a way? In the system, the little dragon, who was standing beside the spring, suddenly choked when he heard Lin Rei's words. After a long silence, he finally spoke again. Alright, I know. Got it. Aren't you just nagging me? At this point, the little dragon spoke again with a worried expression. I'll say it one last time. Remember to be careful, I don't want to collect your corpse. Just as Lin Rei was about to say something, the little dragon cut off the conversation. Hooey, got it. Yours truly's lifespan is eternal. Furthermore, before I find a suitable physical body for you, I will definitely not leave this place. Lin Rei did not know what he was saying to the little dragon. However, after sensing the little dragon's silence, he quickly withdrew from his consciousness. The instant his divine sense returned to his body, he saw a small, fiery red figure. At this moment, it had a curious look in its eyes as it sized up Linley's body. Its eyes were filled with curiosity. That's not right. Didn't he have eyes when he went in? Why now, hue, little guy, have you seen enough of me? Let me tell you, I'm a married man. Don't you dare have any ideas about me. The sudden words gave Lin Ray a shock. The moment he heard Lin Ray's words, he took 2 steps back. However, after calming down, he felt that the voice was very familiar. Then, his face was filled with annoyance. I say, are you crazy? Are you trying to scare me to death? Hearing the words of the Array spirit, for a moment, his face was filled with doubt. That. You didn't do anything wrong, right? Why are you so scared? TSK. At this moment, the Array spirit, who was already familiar with Lin Ray's voice, regained his calmness. Even his previous arrogance was restored at this moment. In this regard, Lin Ray's face showed a trace of helplessness. Then, he smiled and said, All right, stop talking. Hurry up and tell me where this place is. Also, I'm very curious to see what kind of trouble we will encounter in the following journey. Hearing this, the Array spirit's eyes lit up and he smiled. Then, he said, Tut, you're very good. In the past, most of the trial testers who entered here couldn't enter. But here, they were killed directly. Even before they entered, they were killed. Speaking of this, the formation spirit's face became serious. There are 8 major formations at the entrance. Now that you have come in, I can imagine that you are a person with a high cultivation in formations. In the past, when they couldn't open it, or when they tried to force their way in, they would be strangled outside. As for going down from here, to be honest, I'm not very sure either. What? At this moment, listening to the Array spirit's words, Lin Ray couldn't help but exclaim. He didn't expect the Array spirit to say this. Looking at Lin Ray's expression, the Array spirit smiled and said, It's true. When I was caught and brought here, I only saw the Array at the entrance and the Array I was in just now. I'm not very clear about the rest. Speaking of this, Lin Ray's face showed disappointment. However, after hearing the Array spirit's next words, his expression changed dramatically. His eyes were filled with shock, as if he had encountered something inconceivable and unimaginable. However, what I know is that the martial sage here is very likely to be fine. Moreover, for many years, the spirit essences that I obtained from killing people were most likely devoured by the martial sage himself. How is this possible? According to what you said, this place was left behind by mistake in the untainted land. The martial sage can't still be alive. Moreover, since this is a secret realm, it means that the martial sage can really be alive, and as you said, he's hiding here. At first, Lin Ray didn't believe the Array spirit's words. However, when he thought about how the secret realm was like another plane, it was almost the same as the outside world. If what Zhen Jing said was true, the martial sage used the spirit essences that he obtained when he entered the secret realm to fill his own soul. If that was the case, then this place was not simple. If that was the case, then the person who walked to the end would be the strongest. Such a body was a person who could be possessed. After the Array spirit's reminder, Lin Ray thought of countless ideas. The final conclusion was that this secret realm was very likely a scam. Of course, he couldn't say that. What if he was thinking too much? If it wasn't the end, no one could jump to conclusions. At this moment, Lin Ray, who had regained his clarity, looked at the road ahead with his divine sense. At this moment, Lin Ray's heart was in a mess. This choice was undoubtedly a gamble of life and death. After all, the martial sage realm was not something that a small godly state expert like him could stop. Although the martial sage had gone through the vicissitudes of life, he was still a martial sage. Therefore, Lin Ray's heart was in a mess. Turning his head, he used his divine sense to check on Chu Si and Yun Kai, who were still cultivating. Although he had just met them, they had become his subordinates after all. He couldn't just leave them alone. Not only them, even Hong Lian, who he had brought in, appeared on Lin Rei's list of worries. Sigh, I wonder how she is? Young master. Suddenly, a familiar voice rang out. Instantly, Lin Rei's body jerked to the side when he heard this voice. Then, he turned around and extended his divine sense. At this moment, Hong Lian, who he had been worried about, and Long Tian, who he had brought in unintentionally, were together. Lin Rei felt much more at ease when he saw the two of them together. After all, Hong Lian was a godly state expert. Although he was slightly weaker, he was at least a godly emperor expert. It was better than nothing. Looking at Hong Lian, Lin Rei relaxed. Then, he said expressionlessly to the two people in the distance, "Are the two of you also going to enter the secret realm?" "Yes, I came here this time to enter the secret realm. Furthermore, ever since I came here, I felt that this place was very mysterious." At this moment, hearing Lin Rei's words, Long Tian hurriedly spoke before Hong Lian could say anything. The emperor has always liked mysterious places since he was young. Therefore, the emperor has entered a meditative state here. Don't even think about stopping me. Hearing this, a curious smile appeared on Lin Rei's face. He was becoming more and more curious about the mysterious Long Tian's background. However, although his words were a little arrogant, it was undeniable that they suited his temperament. "Ha, I won't stop you. Furthermore, not only that, I want to share with you the information I just received." "What? Are you sure?" At this moment, hearing Lin Rei's words, Long Tian cried out in shock. His face was filled with disbelief. His attitude was completely different from when he had been at the entrance. Previously, he had looked like he wanted to kill someone. Now, he looked like he wanted Long Tian to hurry up. Long Tian was confused. Even so, even though Lin Rei had changed so much in his heart, he had already entered a meditative state in this secret realm. "I'm sure." Looking at Long Tian, Lin Rei's expression was calm. His face was like an ancient well without ripples as he replied, "Of course, although I'll let you in, my only request is that you have to guarantee their safety. As for the things here, this sovereign is willing to split them 50-50. What do you think? This is this sovereign's bottom line. If you don't agree, I'm afraid that you won't be able to leave today. If you don't believe me, you can try." At these words, the surroundings were filled with smoke. Killing intent suddenly appeared and filled the surrounding space. At this moment, Chu Si and Hong Lian, who were in a meditative state, felt this killing intent. Their expressions changed and they immediately opened their eyes, retreating from their cultivation. Damn, that was too dangerous. If I hadn't retreated in time, I'm afraid that I wouldn't even know how I died. Opening her eyes, her face was filled with terror. Cold sweat flowed down her face uncontrollably. Her clothes were also soaked and stuck to her back. "Yun Kyer, are you all right? Did you get hurt anywhere?" At this moment, although Chu Si, who had just woken up, was terrified, she immediately thought of her fiancé. She immediately turned around and went to Yun Kai's side to check her body. I'm fine." At this moment, seeing that her fiancé was so concerned about her, a feeling that she had never experienced before immediately rose in her heart. Although it felt strange, she couldn't help but secretly rejoice in her heart. At this moment, she really hoped that this scene would remain. She didn't want to return to her previous state. "Haha, why are you so serious? I didn't say that I wouldn't agree. Look at you, really." Just as the two were concerned about each other, a voice suddenly sounded. Immediately, the two of them came back to their senses and looked in the direction of the voice. At this moment, they saw Long Tian looking at Lin Rei with an amused smile. His face was filled with smiles. Haha! Lin Rei's consciousness was constantly monitoring Long Tian's attitude. The instant he sensed that Long Tian didn't have a trace of killing intent, Lin Rei withdrew his own killing intent. Following which, a faint smile appeared on his calm face. All right, since you've agreed, then it's decided. I'll do as I say. I'll tell you the information that I've just received. Once these words were spoken, everyone present quieted down. Their faces no longer had any doubts, seriousness, or smiles. At this moment, everyone was extremely serious as they turned their gazes to Lin Rei. According to the information I've just received, the owner of this secret realm, the Martial Saint, may still be alive. Furthermore, this secret realm may very well be a scam. Furthermore, I feel that the final checkpoint may very well be the place where the Martial Saint intends to possess and be reborn. What? How is that possible? Once Lin Rei's words left his mouth, everyone present was stunned. Everyone's eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. This was because what Lin Rei had just said was too huge and too shocking. When they heard these words, they couldn't believe it. After all, this matter was too strange. They couldn't accept it at this moment. At this moment, when he saw everyone's expressions and attitudes, a smile appeared on his face. He had already guessed their current expressions before he spoke of his suspicions. Of course, this is only my speculation. It might not be so. Of course, if you want to know, you have to continue walking and not stop here after hearing about this matter. I'll go with you, young master. At this moment, the moment Lin Rei finished speaking, an unquestionable voice rang out. Immediately, Lin Rei raised his head and extended his consciousness. This person was none other than Hong Lian. She was the first person who had ventured into the forest sky with him. She was the person who had taken a blow for him. At this moment, Lin Rei didn't say anything and only nodded. In response, Hong Lian saw Lin Rei's smile. A smile immediately appeared on her face. Her smile was like a pure white lotus in a pond in summer. Young master, the two of us will also go with you. We've already killed all the people from the Tool Sect who came here, and my fellow disciples already know that I left the Danzong Sect. Thus, wherever you go, the two of us will follow until we die. At this moment, Chu Si's expression was filled with determination as she spoke to Lin Rei. As she spoke, Chu Si couldn't help but look at Yun Kai, hoping that she would agree. Wherever you go, I'll go. Hearing her fiancé's words, Chu Si became even more determined. Chapter 648. Haha, looking at them, Lin Rei laughed very happily. At this moment, Long Tian looked at everyone's attitude, and the curiosity in his eyes became more and more intense. Haha, alright, since you're all going, the Emperor will go back even more. Since I've already promised you, I naturally won't go back on my word. Looking at Lin Rei, Long Tian waved his hand indifferently and walked forward. Seeing that everyone had unanimously decided to continue, Long Tian patted the dust off his body and said, "All right, since that's the case, let's go. Once we enter, we must be careful. Unless it's absolutely necessary, don't act on your own. If we take a wrong step here, what awaits us will be a devastating blow." Of course, although Linley was exaggerating, he had no choice but to be cautious about a secret realm like this and the information he had obtained. "Yes, young master, we understand." Hearing Lin Rei's words, Chu Si, Hong Lian, and Chu Si hurriedly bowed and replied respectfully. "Haha, not bad, I didn't think that you would really go down. Looks like I'm starting to get a bit excited about following you." Right at this moment, just as everyone agreed and the space agreed, a fiery red figure suddenly appeared in front of everyone in the originally pitch-black red lotus. It spoke to Linley in the human language. Linley. As soon as it appeared, apart from Lin Rei, everyone present was stunned and filled with doubt and amazement. It's a formation spirit, an incredible existence. Everything I said before about this place was from the formation spirit. Hearing the formation spirit's voice, Lin Rei didn't have time to explain the formation spirit's existence to everyone. He didn't even need to use his divine sense to know everyone's expressions. Oh, although everyone had Lin Rei's explanation, it was impossible for them to calm down so quickly. Haha, alright, don't say any more. Since we're out, let's light them up. Besides, there's already such a powerful existence like you in the first step. I'm afraid that there will be a powerful formation later, so you have to be alert at all times. Once you know of the existence of the formation, inform me immediately. You rascal! The formation spirit heard Lin Rei's reply and was immediately displeased. I just met you and you're already making me busy? I can't help it. You're a formation spirit and you're born with an extraordinary ability to sense formations, so… Lin Rei shrugged helplessly and shut his mouth. The spirit's words. Lin Rei's words made the formation spirit was speechless. Although it sounded like a compliment, its words, it was full of a trap. And now, since Linley had spoken, he couldn't very well refuse. After pondering for a long time, he said, Fine, I know you're inhumane. I'll help you this time. Otherwise, if you die, I'll have to find someone else. That wouldn't be worth it. Ha ha ha, good, that's the way. Lin Rei's face was full of smiles when he heard the formation spirit's reply. Then, he laughed out loud. However, although he asked the formation spirit to detect the existence of the formation, he could actually do it himself. After all, he was a venerable level formation master. However, doing so would only allow the formation spirit, who was naturally good at this, to perform. Alright, let's go. The formation spirit's decision. Lin Rei was relieved and said to everyone. Then, he took a step forward and walked into the depths of the secret realm. At this moment, the moment Lin Rei said that he wanted to move forward, Long Tian automatically came to Red Lotus and Chu Si's side. His expression turned solemn and his gaze and spirit sense instantly fell on the three of them. Haha, Lin Rei, who was walking at the front, could naturally feel Long Tian's spirit sense and gaze on Red Lotus and the other two. All of this was what Lin Rei needed. Lin Rei was relieved. At this moment, at the western gate of Tianwei City, although there were people who knew their limits and withdrew, they were all small fries. They were sects that wanted to take advantage of the situation. Those who stayed were all from the major sections. Various major sects in the divine world, regardless of whether they were from the righteous path or demonic path, they were all involved. The phrase fish and dragons mixed together was very appropriate for those who stayed at the western gate. After all, it was rare for the demonic path and righteous path to walk together without fighting. It was a rare sight. How is it? How are we going to enter? Who has a way or who is a formation master? Come out and help us break it. For this, my falling star pavilion is willing to pay 50 million divine crystals. At this moment, in a corner below the western gate, Liao Yuning and Liao Jun were standing behind the person who had just spoken. They had respectful expressions on their faces, and did not dare to say anything. Sect Master, isn't 50 million divine crystals a bit too expensive? You must know that our Falling Star Pavilion's annual income is only 50 million divine crystals. If you… Enough, don't say any more. This matter is settled. Although there are already people who have entered, I keep having a feeling that this mysterious realm is not simple. Thus, 50 million divine crystals is worth it. The person who was addressed as Sect Master was none other than Liao Jun and Liao Yuning's father, the Falling Star Pavilion's Liao Bufan, the Sect Master of the largest demonic path. At this moment, Liao Bufan's words resounded through the entire western gate. A majestic and domineering voice resounded through the sky at this moment. At this moment, his words resounded in everyone's ears. What? 50 million divine crystals? This person, could it be? Liao Bufan. He is Liao Bufan, the Sect Master of the Falling Star Pavilion, the leader of the demonic path. I never expected that he would also come. Tisk, as expected of a top-notch sect. 50 million divine crystals right from the start. This old man would not dare to say such a thing if it was me. At this moment, the discussions of the surrounding crowd resounded in everyone's ears. Of course, Liao Bufan also heard them. It's only 50 million divine crystals. It's not a big deal. As long as we enter this mysterious realm, we will definitely earn back all that we have lost. Liao Bufan had a disdainful expression when he heard the discussions of the crowd, as he muttered in his heart. Liao Bufan, I never expected that you would actually be so generous. After not seeing you for so many years, your character is still as vulgar as before. At this moment, when everyone was shocked by Liao Bufan's generosity, a desolate voice was heard. Everyone was filled with curiosity towards the person who had spoken. To be able to know Liao Bufan's life, this person's status should be similar to Liao Bufan's. Haha, oh, isn't this the sect master of the Enigma Palace, Zhou Tongzi? After not seeing you for so many years, I never expected that you're still alive. I thought that you've died. Hiss, the moment Liao Bufan's words left his mouth, the surrounding crowd sucked in a breath of cold air. Everyone's face was filled with complicated emotions. Damn, even the palace master of the Enigma Palace is here. Looks like this trip to the mysterious realm is not going to be easy. Isn't that so? These two are the overlords of the entire divine world. I never expected that even they would be here this time. Sigh. Looks like we are not fated to enter the mysterious realm? The crowd was stirred up once again. Two overlords had already appeared. At this moment, everyone's heart had already begun to feel numb. They did not know how many more people would come after them. Hee, old man Zhou, look at how big of a commotion your appearance has caused. Every time you appear, you're always so high profile. I really don't know why you love to show off so much. As soon as these words came out, everyone was shocked once again. Perhaps only Liao Bufan would dare to say such words. I'm high profile? Zhou Tongzi, who was floating in the air, looked down at Liao Bufan with disdain and said, Look at you. You're spending a year's worth of the sect's income. I can't compare to you. You're a big spender, even the emperor can't compare to you. The two of you are really something. In front of the younger generation, how could you be so arrogant? Don't you know how to be reserved? Aren't you afraid of bringing shame to your sect? The sudden voice attracted everyone's attention. At this moment, the person who appeared was not a middle-aged man, but a peerlessly beautiful woman. As the saying goes, one could get pregnant with just one look. It was very appropriate for the current situation. The woman who appeared was floating in the air. Step by step, she walked towards Liao Bufan and Zhou Tongzi. The woman's skin was as white as snow, and her body carried a domineering aura. Fairy Yun, the sect leader of the middle sect of the upper three sects. I didn't expect her to come this time. Then, the sect leaders of the other sects must have come as well. Everyone was constantly making guesses in their mind. The moment they saw Fairy Yun appear, they looked around with shock. They wanted to see what was going on this time. Even the sect leaders of the other sects had come. No one had expected such a scene to occur. No one had expected that these magnates would personally make a move for the secret realm. Little girl, your master can only speak like this in front of us. What right do you have? Even if you're the sect leader of the middle sect, you're just a back in front of us. At this moment, Zhou Tongzi looked at Fairy Yun, who had come closer, and said to her with a displeased expression, Little girl, you're able to reach such a realm at such a young age. I have to say, you're much stronger than those two brats of mine. At this moment, Liao Bufan, who was standing on the ground, raised his head and looked at Fairy Yun. He looked at the scene behind him with a displeased expression and said, At this moment, Liao Yuning and Liao Jun, who were standing behind Liao Bufan, had an innocent expression. They didn't know whether to laugh or cry. However, it wasn't appropriate for them to speak in such a situation. After all, the person who spoke was a sect leader. They understood the etiquette. You're too kind. Your young master and young lady are also the heaven's pride and heaven's pride of the divine world. Which one of them isn't a giant among men? It's just that this little girl was born earlier than them. Chapter 649. Ha ha! Liao Bufan did not know what to say when he saw how humble Fairy Yun was. Hence, he smiled. All right, let's not talk about it anymore. The most important thing for us to do now is to find a way to enter the mystery realm. Moreover, who was the one who entered the mystery realm? Why didn't we receive any news about such a person appearing in the divine world? At that moment, Zhou Tongzi, who was standing in the air, looked at the conversation between Liao Bufan and Fairy Yun. At that moment, he spoke with a displeased expression. Haha, Zhou Tongzi, what you're saying is wrong. If even you don't know, then we don't even know. Furthermore, a person like him shouldn't be a nameless person. As long as we investigate more, we should know. Liao Bufan said. Without waiting for the others to speak, he continued. Moreover, Zhou Tongzi, isn't Enigma Palace well versed in astronomy and geography? Moreover, Enigma Palace's information network is so well connected. If you go and investigate, you might be able to find out. That's right. Your Enigma Palace is well known in the divine world. Moreover, that person will definitely plunder the treasures inside after entering the mystery realm. If you can investigate, you might be able to get a share of the treasures inside the mystery realm from him. Hearing that, Zhou Tongzi's expression froze. Then, a strange light flashed across his eyes. He had a plan in his heart. At that moment, while Liao Bufan was discussing with the other two, Liao Jun and Liao Yuning, who were standing behind him, had a grave expression on their faces. Sister, why don't we talk to father and ask him to give up? You also know Brother Lin Rei's strength. If our falling star pavilion goes against him, the consequences will be. Sigh. I also want to. However, look at the situation now. If you tell them that the person who entered the mystery realm knows us, how do you think they will treat us? At that moment, Liao Yuning heard her brother's soft voice. She immediately explained to him helplessly. But Brother Lin Rei's strength has already reached that level when he was at Death Valley. Moreover, he has a mysterious power behind him. If our falling star pavilion really takes action, then, the two of them knew a little about Lin Rei's strength. Especially when they were at Death Valley. Up until now, the people who had entered the Death Canyon in the past had all died. Even now, he still hadn't spoken about what had happened in the past. This one time was enough to prove how powerful Lin Rei's deterrence was. Sigh. Forget it. Let me think about it. This matter is no small matter. Moreover, it concerns the survival of our falling star pavilion. Let's talk about it later. Looking at her brother's worried face, Liao Yuning showed a reassuring smile for a moment, and then her heart sank. How could she not understand what Liao Jun had said earlier? However, this matter was of great importance. If she were to say it now and Lin Rei came to know about it, the Falling Star Pavilion would definitely face a calamity. However, if she did not say it, the Falling Star Pavilion would also be implicated and bring about a calamity. Faced with this dilemma, she did not know how to choose. Just as the two of them had a solemn expression on their faces, Liao Bufan turned around and looked at their expressions. For a moment, he was puzzled. What's wrong with the two of you? Is there something I don't know? Or is there something important you're hiding from me? The sudden sentence caused Liao Yuning and Liao Bufan to be stunned on the spot. Their faces became stiff because of the voice just now. With an unnatural expression on their faces, Liao Yuning did not know how to answer for a moment. And no. Father, look at you, we. At this moment, Liao Jun, who was in a worse situation than Liao Yuning, hurriedly stuttered when he saw his father's unhappy face. No? You little brat, don't forget that you're my son. How could I not know what you're like? Hearing his son's words, Liao Bufan did not wait for him to say anything and immediately said to him, "Hurry up and say it. What are you hiding from me? If you don't say it, you know the consequences." At this moment, Liao Yuning, who had not spoken at all, looked at her father's treacherous expression. For a moment, her entire body trembled, and she suddenly inhaled a mouthful of cold air. Her mind spun quickly, and she began to make a choice. She deeply understood the consequences that her father said. And just when Liao Jun was about to speak, Liao Yuning hurriedly interrupted him and said, "Father, it's actually not a big deal. Hurry up and say it." As the person who understood the two of them the most, when Liao Bufan saw his daughter and son stuttering, he immediately realized that this matter was very serious. Otherwise, when they spoke, they would not have to be secretive and use divine sense to communicate. It's actually not a big deal. It's just that, it's that person who entered the secret realm. I know my brother. Oh, so that's the case. Then why didn't you say that you knew the person who entered the secret realm? What? You know the person who entered the secret realm? The moment Liao Yuning revealed the secret in her heart, Liao Bufan did not react. But when he said it to himself, his face suddenly trembled and he was shocked. Yes, we know him. Seeing her father's huge reaction, Liao Yuning said weakly for a moment. At this moment, Liao Yuning began to feel uneasy. She did not know if what she did was right. Although she said it through divine sense, even so, she was still very nervous and uneasy. How did you two know each other? Hurry up and tell me. Ba. You two actually hid such a big matter from me until now. You've really grown wings. Looking at her father's face, Liao Yuning knew that this time, she was in vain and that punishment was inevitable. Father, it's like this. Back then, during the Tendo competition, my brother and I just like this. Liao Yuning began to talk about the process of how she met Lin Rei. Outside, Fairy Yun and Zhou Tongzi looked at Liao Bufan's silence. For a moment, they thought that he was thinking of a solution. However, the two of them did not know that Liao Bufan was listening to a story that he found inconceivable. Just like that, for my brother's sake, I chased him all the way to Death Canyon. In there, I suffered a lot and it wasn't something that ordinary people could endure. There were lightning bolts to temper my body, illusions to survive, and even entering the path to seek the Tao heart. All of these things were for Lin Rei. In the end, my brother and I entered the 5th level of Death Canyon. But in there, Lin Rei possessed strength that ordinary people didn't have. Even the top sects at that time returned in failure. Not bad. At this moment, after listening to his daughter's story, Liao Bufan revealed a look of astonishment. I didn't expect you to suffer so much outside. I was wondering why you disappeared for such a long time back then. I didn't expect you to enter Death Canyon. But it's fine if you didn't tell me about what happened in the 5th level of Death Canyon. But why didn't Elder Xiong, who followed you, tell me about it? Gazing at her father's doubtful expression, Liao Yuning continued. Father, it wasn't that Elder Xiong didn't want to tell you. But he didn't dare to. Back then on the 5th level, everyone from the Qiankuan sect who entered died. With such strength and means, who would dare to tell you about it? Besides, you've also seen for yourself which sect spread the news after so many years. Hearing up to here, Liao Bufan was completely shocked. He was curious and shocked about Linley's unknown identity in the divine world. It was hard for him to imagine who was able to cultivate such a cultivation level and such ability. In the divine world, he knew about all the sects, but he had never heard of such an existence. Moreover, he couldn't figure out how someone with such a cultivation at such a young age could possess such strength. He really couldn't figure it out. Looking at her father's expression, Liao Yuning knew what he was thinking about. She immediately said, Father, I've already said that I haven't seen him since that day. But I didn't expect to see him here. Moreover, his cultivation seems to have improved a lot. Sigh. That's right. Looking at his daughter, Liao Bufan replied with a solemn expression, with such ability, just like what you said just now, if he has such a powerful team, I'm afraid that the entire divine world will fall into chaos. At this moment, Liao Bufan didn't doubt Lin Rei's strength at all. With the speed and means that Lin Rei entered the secret realm, he absolutely believed that Lin Rei had the power to destroy a sect. However, even so, he was still very glad. After all, his daughter and son were acquainted with such an expert. Liao Bufan? Liao Bufan? Just when Liao Bufan was deep in thought, a sudden voice woke him up. He looked towards the source of the voice and saw Zhou Tongzi looking at him with a puzzled expression. Zhou Tongzi was constantly calling out his name. What's wrong? What's the matter? Looking at Liao Bufan, Zhou Tongzi asked helplessly. What else can it be? It's about entering the secret realm. You've been thinking for so long, have you thought of a way? What? Way? Hearing Zhou Tongzi's words, Liao Bufan was stunned. His eyes were filled with confusion. At this moment, Fairy Yun looked at Liao Bufan's expression and a smile appeared on her face. Her voice was like a yellow aureole, crisp and pleasant. It was fascinating. Old man, you've been silent for so long. You were just stunned when you were drinking. You didn't think of a way to enter the secret realm? A furious roar resounded. Immediately, Liao Bufan's face was filled with displeasure. Humph! You bastard! If I had a way, why would I offer a reward of 50 million divine crystals? Is your head soaked in water? Chapter 650. At once Liao Bufan said those words, everyone present was stunned. It was very difficult for them to believe that such filthy words came from the mouth of an overlord. All right. Let's not talk about that for now. Let's think about how to open the mysterious realm. Although the sect masters of the other sects have yet to appear, I'm afraid that they're already impatient. However, if we can invite that formation master over, then the problem before us will be easily solved. Oh? You're talking about that old fart Wu Yanzi. At this moment, right after Fairy Yun finished speaking, Liao Bufan directly spoke. However, the words that came out of his mouth were generally extremely shocking. Every single word that came out of his mouth would cause the surrounding crowd to be shocked. Haha, that's right. It's that old fart Wu Yanzi. Although Liao Bufan's words were very, very problematic, Fairy Yun still nodded and admitted to it. Merely, the way in which the two of them addressed Wu Yanzi was very different. One was very respectful, whereas the other was very, very casual. It was filled with indifference. The two of you have been in the Emperor realm longer than Emperor. Thus, you two know a lot about Senior Wu Yanzi. However, what the two of you don't know is that not long ago, he became an exalted level formation master. The two of you should know what that means, right? What? Wu Yanzi became an exalted level formation master? How could that be? Why didn't our Enigma Palace receive any news about that? Once Fairy Yun said those words, everyone present was shocked. To the crowd present, this could be said to be the greatest amount of shock they had ever experienced. However, at this moment, when Liao Bufan and Zhou Tongzi heard Fairy Yun's words, they were also extremely shocked. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. Amen, Senior Wu Yanzi has indeed become an exalted level array master. I only found out about this news not too long ago. I'm afraid that the number of people who know about this in the divine realm can be counted with one's fingers. Therefore, it's very normal that the two of you don't know. At once those words were said, Liao Bufan was stunned for a moment. Then, he smiled and said, That's true. That old fart is a very casual person. His personality is likely the most eccentric person in the entire divine realm. I agree with you on this point. Wu Yanzi is very. Just when Zhou Tongzi and Liao Bufan had the same opinion, a voice suddenly rang out, directly interrupting their conversation. That's right, I'm just an old thing with an eccentric personality. Sai, tell me, you two brats, how did this old man become good friends with you two back then? Now it seems like I've really met the wrong person. When those words were spoken, Liao Bufan, Yun Xianzi and Zhou Tongzi were all stunned. Especially Zhou Tongzi. The instant he heard that voice, his eyes were filled with disbelief. He muttered to himself, it can't be so coincidental that the person involved heard us talking behind their back, right? I have to say, Zhou Tongzi, your luck has always been very bad. However, even I don't dare to believe it. That old bastard Wu Yanzi has really come. Furthermore, he is right behind you. Liao Bufan couldn't believe what was happening in front of him. He didn't expect that there would be such a coincidence in this world. F***ck. Zhou Tongzi was shocked when he heard Liao Bufan's words. He hurriedly turned around and saw a white-haired old man looking at the two of them with mild anger. He looked as if he wanted to educate and criticize them. As for Liao Bufan and Zhou Tongzi, they were completely different from before. At this moment, the two of them no longer had the arrogance from before. At this moment, the two of them were like children who had made a mistake. They lowered their heads in silence. Yun Xianzi was also speechless when she saw the strange scene. When she thought of the conversation between Liao Bufan and Yun Xianzi, she couldn't help but laugh. Senior Wu Yanzi, Junior Yunyan, the current sect master of the Central Gate, greets you. Haha, so it's the sect master of the Central Gate. No wonder you have the cultivation of an emperor god at such a young age. Moreover, you can stand together with these two bad boys. A moment ago, he was looking at Liao Bufan and Yun Xianzi with mild anger. However, after hearing Yun Xianzi's words, his expression changed and he instantly praised her with a smile. A hypocrite. Yes, not only that, you're also filthy. You haven't changed at all from before. You're still that wretched old man. Liao Bufan and Yun Yan had been watching the conversation between Wu Yanzi and Yun Yan. Immediately, the two of them started to exchange glances and ridicule Wu Yanzi. At this moment, the two of them had the same consensus. Both of them had to be cautious and were filled with disdain. It's nothing. I only managed to reach my current level because of the nurturing of my elders. It's nothing. Yun Yan replied very modestly to Wu Yanzi's words. Alright, I was too busy talking just now. I haven't congratulated you on becoming an honorable array master. Suddenly, Yun Yan thought of something and immediately bowed to Wu Yanzi to congratulate him. That's right, old man. You came at the right time. Didn't you become an honorable array master? There's a formation here waiting for you to break. Do you think? That's right. Hurry up and break the formation so that we can enter the secret realm. Moreover, Liao Bufan even said that he would give 50 million divine crystals to whoever could break the formation. The sudden change left everyone dumbfounded. Just a moment ago, he acted like a child who had done something wrong. Now, he stood there confidently with an extremely sad attitude. No one could react to this sudden change. Ha! Not bad, Liao Bufan. I didn't expect to not see you for 1,000 years. You've become so generous. At this moment, Wu Yanzi, who was talking to Yun Yan, suddenly heard the conversation between Liao Bufan and Yun Yan. For a moment, Wu Yanzi looked at Liao Bufan with interest and said. However, Liao Bufan was not happy at all. There was a saying that went, one has to suffer in silence. At this moment, Liao Bufan's mood was similar to that saying. He was asking for trouble. Looking at Wu Yanzi, who was in the air, Liao Bufan could only smile. However, his smile was uglier than crying. Zhou Tongzi, who was beside him, also had a smile on his face and a look of joy on his face. Looking at this scene, Yun Yan frowned. She could not bear to watch any longer and said, senior sect leaders, the three of you have to think carefully. Someone has already entered the secret realm. For every moment we delay outside, there will be less things inside. Do you think this is a good idea? Of course, I don't have any objections. If the three of you continue like this, then I'll just treat this trip as a show. What? Someone has already entered? At this moment, the three people who heard Yun Yan's words fell silent. However, at this moment, Wu Yanzi regained his senses and looked at Yun Yan in shock. Yes, that's right. Someone has already entered. Moreover, it has been a long time. However, we haven't been able to enter. That's why we wanted to ask you to break the formation so quickly. Yun Yan did not expect Wu Yanzi's reaction. However, Liao Bufan and Yun Yan seemed to have expected it. While he was still in shock, the two of them smiled triumphantly. How is this possible? How is this possible? Wu Yanzi, who had obtained confirmation, had a lifeless look in his eyes. He couldn't help but mutter to himself, "Impossible, it's impossible for anyone to enter this formation. Unless one has the initial token, it's impossible to enter this formation. Then, how did that person enter?" Yun Yan looked at Wu Yanzi's current situation. For a moment, she looked at Liao Bufan and Yun Yan doubtfully. However, when she saw the smiles on their faces, her previous worries were put down. After all, from the conversation between the three of them, she knew that the three of them were good friends. If Wu Yanzi was in danger, the two of them would definitely not stand by and do nothing. Impossible, impossible, impossible. Wu Yanzi, who was standing in the air, stopped moving. His eyes were filled with disbelief. He kept muttering the word impossible. At this moment, he looked as if he was possessed. It was a horrifying sight. Tisk, haha, this old thing is still the same as before. I'm afraid even he would have to spend some time to break such a powerful formation. If he knows that someone has already entered, I'm afraid he will lose sleep in the future. Looking at Wu Yanzi's current situation, Zhou Tongzi said with a smile, "That's right. This old guy is still the same as before. He treats formations as his life. However, is it really okay for us to do this? After all, he is our good friend. Isn't it appropriate to cheat him like this?" Hearing Zhou Tongzi's words, Liao Bufan also smiled. However, as he spoke, the smile on his face gradually disappeared and was replaced by guilt. The kind of guilt towards a friend. Look at you. A little impatience spoils great plans. If we want to enter the secret territory as soon as possible, we have to stimulate Wu Yanzi's fighting spirit. Just like before, do you think he has the passion and motivation to use all his strength to break the formation and search for the entrance to the secret territory? Hearing Zhou Tongzi's words, Liao Bufan fell silent for a moment. Although his words were a little unpleasant, he had to admit that his words were very pertinent. "Sigh, forget it. I'll apologize to him after this matter is over." He raised his head and glanced at Wu Yanzi before speaking with a guilty expression. However, after speaking, his tone suddenly changed and he said to Zhou Tongzi, "However, you have to pay half of the 50 million divine crystals. After all, if you didn't mention this matter, I wouldn't have to fork out such a large amount of wealth. After all, 50 million divine crystals is my Falling Star Pavilion's annual income. So, you have to share it equally this time." Seeing Liao Bufan's reaction, Zhou Tongzi was stunned helplessly for a moment, and then he said, Wait for a while. You know that my madam is in charge of all my wealth. If she doesn't speak, do you think? TSK, don't give me that." Liao Bufan, who stood opposite Zhou Tongzi, looked at him and didn't wait for him to finish speaking before speaking to stop him. Chapter 651. You think I don't know you? Every single time, you use your wife as a cover to cheat money from me. I say, are you capable or not? No matter what, you're the head of a sect, can you not be so shameless? If this were to spread, I would feel ashamed for you. Once those words were spoken, Zhou Tongzi was instantly choked by those words and was unable to say anything. At that instant, his expression became very colorful and very funny. They're arguing again. TSK, this is different from what I heard. At that moment, Yun Yan looked at Liao Bufan and Zhou Tongzi, who were arguing with each other from the moment they met. She immediately sighed in her heart and felt very helpless. This won't do. I must break this formation. I must go in and see the person who can enter. Just as the three of them were having their own thoughts, a voice that was not very loud sounded at that instant. In response, everyone's gazes turned towards Wu Yanzi. At that moment, Wu Yanzi no longer had the confusion and sluggishness from before. The current him was full of spirit and was filled with fighting spirit. His eyes were filled with fervor towards formations. The person who will enter this formation today must be at least an exalted level formation master. It seems that this divine realm is not as simple as I thought it was. Could it be that the divine realm has been eliminated after not appearing for so many years? What? Exalted level formation master? How is this possible? How can that person be an exalted level formation master? He's so young. Impossible, absolutely impossible. Yeah, how is this possible? That person is very young. Conservatively speaking, he hasn't even reached the end of his age. Impossible. At that moment, when they heard the information that Wu Yanzi was talking to himself, the three sect heads were completely stupefied. In their minds, they automatically chose to not believe it. Father, it's very possible. Brother Lin Ray might really be an exalted level formation master. Back then, I saw him setting up a formation. His technique was extremely profound. Even my sister was unable to catch any traces of his hand seals. What? Just as Liao Bufan's heart automatically blocked out the fact that he did not believe that Lin Ray was a venerable level array master, Liao Jun, who was standing behind him, hesitated for a moment. Then, his eyes became firm as he transmitted his voice to Liao Bufan. However, after hearing his son's words, Liao Bufan couldn't react for a moment. Then, he exclaimed in surprise. His eyes were filled with disbelief and shock. He didn't dare to imagine how a person who was about the same age as his children could possess so many unbelievable abilities. What was this? A beloved child of heaven and earth? Or the son of destiny? Or perhaps he himself was the embodiment of the great Tao? Regarding this, Liao Bufan didn't know. He only knew that this news gave him a huge blow. F***ck, what the hell are you doing? However, Liao Bufan's actions had attracted the attention of Yun Yan, Zhou Tongzi and Wu Yanzi. As Zhou Tongzi looked at Liao Bufan, who had cried out in surprise. For a moment, he roared angrily at him with a displeased expression. His voice was so loud that it woke him up from his shock that Lin Ray was a venerable grade array master. Alright, stop talking. Give me some time and I'll definitely break the formation for you guys and let you guys in. At this moment, Wu Yanzi's voice suddenly sounded. For a moment, everyone's attention was focused on him. Of course, I have a condition for doing this. Say it. As long as you say it and don't go overboard, I'll agree to it. Yes, as long as you say it, we'll agree. Yes, Senior Wu Yanzi, as long as you say it. For a moment, Liao Bufan and the other two did not even hesitate to answer Wu Yanzi's question and readily agreed. Haha, that's great. Seeing that Liao Bufan was so straightforward, Wu Yanzi's face revealed a trace of a smile. He then said, "The secret realm has been opened, but you must help me find the person who entered it. I have some questions that I would like to verify with him." That's it? After hearing Wu Yanzi's condition, Zhou Tongzi was dumbfounded. Even if Wu Yanzi didn't mention this condition, he would still do it. After all, the first person to enter the secret realm was likely to obtain many treasures or inheritances in adversity. Therefore, refining this problem was useless to them. That's right, this is the condition. Of course, you guys can choose not to agree, but this formation, no, we agree. We agreed to help you find that person. We'll definitely find him and bring him to you for you to decide. Just like that, both sides reached an agreement. Wu Yanzi revealed a smile on his face. All right, since that's the case, I'll begin. With that, without waiting for anyone to respond, Wu Yanzi instantly turned into a stream of light and rushed into the door to begin his job. However, in the past few days, Linley, who they said had already entered the secret territory, had already experienced no less than 15 battles of varying sizes. Not only that, but each battle was many times more powerful than the previous one. At this moment, in a pitch-black space, Lin Rei brandished the primal Chaos Dragon spear in one hand and bombarded the enemy's body with spear after spear. Bang! Bang! Sounds resounded in the quiet space. At this moment, Long Tian was not far away. He was releasing his spirit chi to envelop Hong Lian and the other two so that they wouldn't be harmed. Haha, I didn't expect this. I really didn't expect Lin Rei's strength to be so powerful. It seems that it's impossible to defeat him. Long Tian, who had been watching from the sidelines, looked at Lin Rei, who had been fighting since he entered. In the past few days, Lin Rei had already refreshed his worldview and refreshed his entire world. Young master. Hong Lian, who was under Long Tian's protection, didn't dare to blink from the beginning to the end because she was afraid. She was afraid that Lin Rei would be born if she blinked. However, from the moment he entered the battle until now, although Linley had a lot of opponents at his disposal, in the end, he had basically killed all of them. There had been no exceptions. Humph, you're just puppets imprisoned by a dead person. You've completely broken away from the outside world. So, go to hell. Your era is completely over. At this moment, Lin Rei, who was holding the primal Chaos Dragon spear in his hand, looked at the two things in front of him that were neither human nor ghost. Although they were ugly and could even be said to be unbearable to look at, it was undeniable that they were very powerful. The two people who were fighting with them had a deep understanding of this. Haha. Little doll, don't be so confident. Although our era has passed, we are still innate divine demons who survived from the untainted era. Although we're trapped here, we're definitely not people that you can trample on. Swoosh. Swoosh. The moment the two of them finished speaking, their bodies disappeared into the pitch-black space. Lin Rei frowned at this. Fleeing shadow? Lin Rei, who had been using his spiritual consciousness to investigate, released his 5 senses the moment he felt the two figures disappear from his spiritual consciousness. Instantly, his 5 senses increased by countless times. The moment his 5 senses were released, 2 blurry figures appeared in his spiritual consciousness. Although the 2 figures were blurry and sometimes disappeared, it was still much better than before. The moment he caught the footsteps of the 2 figures, Lin Rei moved. His body disappeared in an instant. He took the initiative and appeared behind one of them in an instant. He didn't hear anything. The primal Chaos Dragon spear in his hand was as fast as lightning. With a poochie sound, the blurry figure completely appeared. What? How is this possible? At this moment, under Linley's spear, one of the 6 odd beasts had been completely pierced through by Linley's spear. It wasn't that Linley was afraid that he wouldn't be able to kill his opponent, so in the instant that he pierced through his opponent's body, he used the Silent Thunder and the Illusory Soulfire. At this moment, the other blurry figure became a joke. His eyes were filled with sadness and disbelief. Unknowingly, tears flowed down his cheek. Nothing is impossible. It's just that my spiritual consciousness is much stronger than others. Therefore, your techniques are useless against me. Lin Rei looked at the person expressionlessly. He pulled out the primal chaos dragon spear from the corpse and walked slowly towards the person in front of him. How is this possible? You're asking how you can pierce through my body. Although you're an emperor god, we're prehistoric Khanate demon gods. This is impossible. How is this possible? A puzzled voice sounded. Hearing the puzzled voice, Lin Ray smiled and said, So what if you're a Khanate demon god? The spear in my hand originates from the primal chaos. Even 3,000 demon gods can't stop the primal chaos dragon spear. So die. With that, Lin Ray's figure disappeared instantly. When he reappeared, he was already behind the person. The spear pierced out instantly. Lightning and crimson flames strengthened the primal chaos dragon spear. Pucci, the primal chaos dragon spear pierced through the person's body effortlessly. The moment the spear pierced through his body, the illusory spirit blood fire began to spread from the wound and burned the surroundings. Primal chaos. Primal chaos. It seems that I'll die in the primal chaos. The person who was pierced by Lin Ray felt the primal chaos chi from the primal chaos dragon spear. For a moment, a trace of relief appeared on his ashen face. Thank you. Linley was momentarily stunned by this sudden thank you. Thank you. This is the only way we can be truly free. Second brother and I have had enough of this dark place for so many years. It's all thanks to you that we can return to the river of time. Although I don't know why you have this spear, a man's wealth is his own ruin. Remember this, remember this. Chapter 652. Seeing the man's body gradually being devoured by the illusory spirit blood fire, Long Tianyu knew that the man's words made sense, and that he was doing it for his own good. However, when he received the chaotic dragon spear, he already knew how heavy the burden was. However, seeing the man's kind reminder, Lin Ray did not torture him further. Immediately, he extended his left hand and aimed his palm at the man. Suddenly, a blood-red flame rushed out and spread to the man's body. Boom! The fist-sized illusory spirit blood fire instantly exploded when it touched the man's body. It turned into a blood-red pillar of light that shot up to the sky. Don't worry. Although you wanted to kill me, your final reminder was meaningless. Linley admired an opponent like this very much, and when he said the word free, Linley suddenly felt a sense of relief in his heart. However, this feeling only lasted for a moment before disappearing. Can you let me go? In the silent, pitch-black space, the surroundings were completely silent. Not a single sound could be heard. For some reason, even the sound of the heaven-shaking pillar of fire had disappeared at this moment. However, at this moment, a voice sounded, instantly waking Lin Ray from his silence. Hey, let's go. There's no danger anymore. However, you still have to be careful. In this place, even I can't be sure that there won't be any danger. Yes, I know. I'll be careful. At this moment, Long Tian looked at Lin Ray's cautious expression. In addition to the strange atmosphere and pitch-black space, Long Tian had no choice but to be careful. Chu Ci, the three of you follow Long Tian closely. Remember, no matter what, don't leave Long Tian's side. This is a warning and also a protection. Moreover, I don't want to repeat this a second time. Long Tianyu did not turn back. Although he was a little worried after coming here and receiving the information from the formation spirit, it was not a problem for him. However, he could not be sure about the cultivators below the Red Lotus realm. Therefore, he had to remind them before he planned to continue walking. Yes, we understand. Chu Ci and the other man were helpless towards their young master. You're obviously concerned, but your words are so cold. Tsk Ci. Of course, he could not say what he was thinking out loud. It was enough to just think about it. Young master. Alright, let's go. We've wasted enough time here. It's possible that those old bastards outside have already started to make their move. At this moment, Red Lotus, who was protected by Long Tion's cultivation, opened her mouth slightly, her face filled with disappointment. Lin Rei knew what Hong Lian meant, but he didn't want to say anything. Therefore, before she could say anything, Lin Rei interrupted her and walked forward. Hey, I say, can you wait? I have 3 people with me. A grumbling voice resounded throughout the entire dark space. The person who had spoken was Long Tian. Just a moment ago, he had suddenly seen Lin Rei walk far away. More or less, a gust of cold wind had drifted over his back. Long Tian couldn't help but grumble. As he grumbled, he chased after Lin Rei. However, his cultivation was much weaker than Hong Lian and the other 2. Therefore, he had no choice but to slow down and let the 3 of them follow him closely. He couldn't let them get more than 1 meter away from him. It wasn't because of Hong Lian's beauty, but because this was a mission given to him by Lin Rei. No, it wasn't a mission, but a deal. Stop shouting. Be careful not to draw the enemy over. If that's the case, I'll tell you that I'll leave you behind and escape with them. At that moment, Linley, who was walking at the front, heard Long Tian's ghost-like wails and wolf-like howls behind him. At first, it was fine, but Long Tian seemed to have no end to it. Because of this, Linley couldn't help but use his cultivation to threaten Long Tian. What? Aren't you the same? The 2 of them weren't very far from each other. Therefore, Long Tian naturally heard Lin Rei's threat. However, the moment he heard it, Long Tian smiled bitterly and helplessly in his heart. His expression turned even uglier. Who cares? Either you shut up and slowly follow behind me, or I'll find you a few people like the ones from before for you to practice with. I believe that you'll definitely kill them in an instant. So, make your choice. Lin Rei didn't look back, but his divine sense had been following the 4 of them. Therefore, he wasn't worried at all. The reason why he said that was because Lin Rei wanted him to shut up. Moreover, he didn't believe that the 2 guys from before would still exist here. He had seen enough creatures from the primordial age. He didn't believe that there would still be some here. Of course, he didn't believe it. There were no absolutes in the world. Therefore, he shouldn't be too confident. As expected, once Lin Rei said that, Long Tian shut up. However, his eyes were filled with grievance. Moreover, he was satisfied that his divine sense saw the tears in Long Tian's eyes. Lin Rei was speechless. Sigh. What kind of people did I meet? Although he was helpless, he had no choice. If he wasn't here, he would have to put in more effort. Although he had the system and could store them, there might be a pair of eyes watching them in this place. Therefore, it was best to be careful. This was the survival principle now. Dee-dong. 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 At this moment, there seemed to be an alarm clock ticking in the system. The sound was very loud and very pleasant to the ears. This sound was completely different from the sound of the alarm clock on planet Aqua Blue. If Lin Rei was here, he would definitely be able to sense that a strange rune would appear at the moment of each sound. However, this rune disappeared the moment it appeared. Therefore, if one didn't have strong mental strength and divine sense like him, they wouldn't be able to sense it at all. Looks like the 1,000-year mission is about to end. I wonder if that silly boy knows. The sudden voice, although a little stiff and emotionless, made the little dragon, who was sitting on the clear spring water, stare. The flowing light in his eyes was very familiar. Just like that, after being stunned for a while, a smile gradually appeared on the little dragon's face. System? You changed. Is that so? However, I think this change is quite good. Moreover, don't you think so too? The system's voice sounded at this moment. Immediately, the little dragon, who was sitting on the spring water, smiled widely and said, "That's true. In the past, your tone was cold enough to freeze people to death. Even I was the same. However, although your tone is still a little stiff, it's not as cold as before. It's as if you've lost your emotions." Dee-dong, dee-dong, dee-dong. However, just as the two of them were talking, the strange sound became faster and faster. Hee, looks like it's time to bring him in. The 1,000-year mission has been completed. It's time for him to receive his reward. Hearing the system's words, the little dragon was stunned for a moment. Just as he was about to speak, he saw that Lin Rei was already standing in front of him. Damn, why are you so fast? Looking at Lin Rei in front of him, the little dragon's face was full of a helpless smile. The system's actions were clearly beyond his expectations. However, he was very happy with this solution. Why am I here? At this moment, Lin Rei, who had already arrived in the system, looked at the changes in the scene in front of him and was suddenly puzzled. He remembered that he was still walking towards the depths of the secret realm. As he was walking, a sudden suction force appeared. His divine sense wavered. When he checked again, he realized that he had already entered the system. Hee, silly boy, do you still remember the 1,000-year mission in the immortal realm? Looking at Lin Rei's confusion, the little dragon shook his head helplessly and said to him, Immortal realm? Hearing the little dragon's words, he was stunned for a moment and then fell into deep thought. Damn, you little boy! Looking at Lin Rei's appearance, the little dragon was stunned for a moment. He didn't expect that Lin Rei, who had always been a little money grubber, would be able to forget about the mission. Ding dong, congratulations to the host. The 1,000-year mission has been completed. The mission reward is 50 kilograms of purple soft divine iron, 1 sage-level pill recipe, and 1 immortal-level wine recipe. Host, do you want to accept the mission reward? After a minute, Lin Rei still didn't reply. Suddenly, the system's voice sounded again. Ding dong, do you want to accept the mission reward? There was still no sound. At this moment, the little dragon, who was sitting on the surface of the water, was worried about Lin Rei. Looking at Lin Rei, who was deep in thought, he couldn't care less. Immediately, he jumped up and kicked Lin Rei's buttock. Following the sound, Lin Rei's painful scream resounded in the system's space. Damn, what are you doing, little dragon? The sober Lin Rei used his hand to gently touch his burning buttock. The pain spread throughout his body until finally, Lin Rei's body began to convulse. Looking at Lin Rei's painful appearance, the little dragon's face was filled with embarrassment. Damn, I didn't control my strength well and directly used the power of the sage level. Of course, he naturally couldn't say what was in his heart. If Lin Rei knew what the little dragon was thinking, he would have swung his machete and chased after the little dragon. If he knew that was the sage level and not the immortal level. Of course, even the immortal level couldn't do it. I'm just reminding you to accept the mission reward quickly. Otherwise, it'll be over. Lin Rei, who was originally angrily looking at the little dragon, was confused for a moment after hearing his words. However, he quickly reacted. I accept. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for 50 kilograms of purple soft divine iron, 1 sage-level pill recipe, and 1 immortal-level wine recipe. Please accept. Damn, did you find your conscience or what? You actually gave me so many good things at once. I'm not used to it for a moment. The moment the system finished speaking, Lin Rei cried out in surprise. His face was filled with excitement and happiness. However, there was a trace of doubt in his eyes. That's not right. I remember that the reward wasn't these. Suddenly thinking of something, and thinking about the usual style of the system and the little dragon, Lin Rei's back was suddenly covered in cold sweat. His clothes were wet and stuck to his back. Hearing Lin Rei's words, the little dragon was stunned for a moment and began to feel helpless. However, at this moment, the system's voice sounded. Boy, don't be surprised. You deserve this. The reward that was promised to you in the immortal realm may still be useful to you, but it's not very useful to you. Therefore, without your permission, I made the decision on my own. Of course, if you don't want it, I can exchange it for you now. No, no need, no need. Hearing the system's words, Lin Ray hurriedly stopped it. He couldn't wait for such an outcome, as long as there were no other traps. Seeing Lin Ray so nervous, the system laughed. The little dragon couldn't believe its ears. All right, I've already displayed your current information in your mind. Go and take a look. And, hearing the system's words, Linley subconsciously entered his mental world. A screen of light appeared, and all of his information appeared on it, just like before. Name: Lin Ray. Age: 2343. System level: 3. Cultivation: Peak Middle Stage God Emperor. Experience: 593-564-8. Torch Dragon: 600000000. Torch Dragon. Spiritual Roots: Thunder, Fire, Wood, Metal. Chaos. Spiritual Roots. Talent: Peak Early Stage God Emperor. Cultivation Techniques: Primal Chaos. Scripture. 3rd level, incomplete. Devouring Heavenly Technique, Growable, Hongmeng Pill. Refinement, Entry-level Cultivation Technique, Cloud Art, Emperor-level Cultivation Technique. Same Array. Emperor-level Cultivation Technique, Tyrant Body Technique, Emperor-level Cultivation Technique. Thunder Tyrant Body, Zone-level Secret Technique, Lightning Scripture, Deity-level Cultivation Technique, Martial Techniques. Butterfly Steps, Entry-level, Stellar Finger, Proficient. Silent Thunder Spear Art, High Profound Level Martial Technique, now trained to Entry-level, able to produce 3 lightning bolts. Myriad Sword Art. Heaven Level, Level 3. Incineration, Emperor Level, Dragon Subduing Step, Emperor Level. Azura Spear Art. King Level, Azura Sword Array. King Level, Divine Transformation, Emperor Level. Spiritual Treasures, Primal Chaos Dragon Spear, Top Grade God Weapon, Martial Emperor God Spear, Low Grade God Weapon, Growable, Myriad Arts Sword, Ungraded, Myriad Beasts Treasure Furnace, Great Temple, High Grade Immortal Weapon, Worldly Splendor, Ungraded, Equipment, Top Grade Flowing Light Set Mount, Middle Stage God Emperor Lucky Draw Wheel, 0 Character Lottery System, 0 times Reputation Points, none Exchange Points, none Spirit Stones, 0 Supreme Level Alchemist, 3000 Candle Dragons, 6000 Candle Dragons, Supreme Level Array Master, 3568 Zhulong, 6000 Zhulong, Venerable Level Weapon Refiner, 3456 Candle Dragon, 6000 Candle Dragon, Talisman Master, not activated. Top Grade Elixirs, Natural Treasures, 50 kilograms of Purple Gold Nephrite, 50 kilograms of Purple Gold Sand, 50 kilograms of Purple Gold Godly Iron. Mission, Main Mission, Enter the Holy World within 1,000 years. Side Mission, Refine the Tower of Babel. Unlimited. Pills, 11 Mind Control Pills, 6,234 Mind Control Pills. Psi. 1,000 years? Chapter 653. At this moment, thinking back to 1,000 years ago when he was still forced to accept missions in the immortal world, Lin Ray couldn't help but think. And looking at the characters in the mission panel, suddenly, his heart was melancholy. This time, just like 1,000 years ago, although there was helplessness and unwillingness, he didn't regret accepting these missions. However, it was because of the missions that he took that gave him the strength he had today. So, rather than helplessness, it was better to say that there was hope in his heart. However, this hope, perhaps even Lin Ray himself didn't feel it. Tisk, alright, stop lamenting yourself. You should be happy because today, you have stepped into the cultivation world for almost 2,000 years. So, be happy, isn't this great? Just when Lin Ray was thinking about himself, the system's voice suddenly sounded. The voice was so loud that it instantly woke him up. Yes, the system is right. This way, you will become an old monster. Moreover, back then, you never thought that one day you would be able to break through the shackles of time. Although you haven't truly transcended life and death, At least now you can be said to have the same lifespan as the heavens. Looking at the system and the little dragon talking back and forth, suddenly Lin Ray was speechless. All right, kid, let's get down to business. At this moment, the little dragon's playful face suddenly became serious. Suddenly, Lin Ray couldn't help but be in awe. Although I haven't found the method to create the array spirit, I believe it should be soon. However, I found some traces about the martial saint. Do you want to hear it? What? Martial saint? Hearing the little dragon's words, suddenly Lin Ray was shocked. Then, with a curious look, he asked, "Hurry up and tell me, what's going on?" Lin Ray knew that to be able to make the little dragon look at it this way, either the opponent's strength was very strong, so strong that it was a bit heaven-defying, or there was a shocking conspiracy. So, regarding this, Lin Ray couldn't help but be serious. He didn't want to die in this dark place. Hee, child, you've also sensed it, or perhaps you've learned about it from the array spirit, so I won't waste any more words. Looking at Lin Ray, the little dragon began to tell him some of the information he had found. It's like this. Just a while ago, I found out that the reason why this martial saint is not because he is very strong, but because he has lived for a very long time, so long that it is terrifying. Upon hearing this, Lin Ray could not help but frown. His face was filled with seriousness. If the little dragon could do this, then the martial saint must still be alive. If that was the case, then it confirmed his previous guess. This is my oversight. However, I just want to say that you're still not his match. Unless you possess the strength of a saint and the ability of a law, you'll be able to fight him head-on. Otherwise, you'll be killed in an instant in front of him. There's nothing left for you. Hearing the little dragon's words, Lin Ray became more and more intelligent. Although he had guessed that he would encounter danger this time, he never thought that the owner of this place would be so powerful. Moreover, he still needed to master a law. Regarding this, Lin Ray made a decision in his heart. I know what you're thinking. Looking at the little dragon, he knew that since the little dragon said so directly, it must be afraid that he would overestimate himself and fail here, then be unable to recover. Regarding this, Lin Ray's heart was filled with warmth. It's good that you know. This time, I really did not expect this martial saint to be so powerful. Oh, by the way, let me tell you, this is one of the martial saint's skills. It uses a strand of one's soul to seize and be reborn. Therefore, unless you completely refine his soul, there will always be a martial saint in this world. Once again, Lin Ray was shocked. Unknowingly, he began to become interested in the martial saint mentioned by the little dragon. Regarding this, he was even more eager and determined to break through as soon as possible and enter the saint realm. Lin Ray, the little dragon is right. The appearance of this person is also beyond my expectations. Don't worry, during this time, I will investigate more about him for you. After you break through to the saint realm, perhaps it will be of some help to you. At this moment, even the system began to persuade Lin Ray. This was because during the time it spent with Lin Ray, it deeply understood Lin Ray's temperament. The more difficult something was, the more he would face it head-on. Therefore, in order to prevent Lin Ray from entering the secret realm, it had to speak up. Looking at their actions today, Lin Ray shook his head helplessly and said, "Be careful, what you are worried about will not happen. Moreover, there are many things outside and I have many things to do. Therefore, I will not be so reckless, be careful." With that, Lin Ray nodded at the little dragon and said to the sky, "All right, system, I'll leave first." With that, Lin Ray turned to leave. However, at this moment, Lin Ray suddenly thought of something and hurriedly turned around and said, "By the way, little dragon, think of it as me looking for a cultivation method to enter the talisman Tao. In the past, I always wanted to enter the talisman Tao, but I never had the chance. If I didn't see the message just now, I wouldn't have remembered. Be careful, leave this to me, I will definitely not let you suffer." Looking at Lin Rei's high fighting spirit, the little dragon heaved a sigh of relief and patted its chest as it promised. Hearing the little dragon's words, for a moment, Lin Rei smiled, and then with a thought, his body disappeared from the system and returned to his original body. At this moment, in the outside world, the surroundings were pitch black. At this moment, Lin Rei returned to his original body and activated his divine sense. However, at this moment, Long Tian was threatening him and pointing at him curiously. Sensing this, for a moment, Lin Li felt rather awkward. He then said, "Have you seen enough?" F***ck. A sudden exclamation came from Long Tian's mouth. Then, with a face full of displeasure, he said, "Hey, Lin Rei, can you do it? Why did you stop for such a long time, you say?" This, seeing Long Tian's reaction, for a moment, Lin Rei was helpless. Although he wanted to explain, seeing Long Tian's reaction, Lin Rei gave up the idea. "Chu Ci, Yunkai, the two of you come back with me, we can't go any deeper." Before Long Tian finished speaking, Lin Rei said to the two of them. Chu Ci and Yunkai thought they heard wrong and then looked up at Lin Rei's face. When they saw Lin Rei's serious face, they knew that this matter was serious. In the past few days, they knew that Lin Rei liked some things and they knew how to read people's expressions. Therefore, the two of them did not say anything and left Long Tian's protection. They came to Lin Rei and nodded to him. Then, they stood behind him and did not say anything. However, after hearing Lin Rei's words, Long Tian was a little unwilling. "Hey, what do you mean? You were the one who decided to come here, and now you're saying that you don't want to go back? Are you kidding me?" Long Tian, don't. At this moment, Hong Lian's expression became serious when she heard Long Tian's words. She was shocked and then looked up at Lin Rei. What she saw was Lin Rei's indifferent expression. Hong Lian relaxed slightly when she saw his face. Even though I'm displeased with your words, I won't argue with you on account of the fact that you've protected the two of them for such a long time. However, you can't go any deeper into the mystic realm. If you still want to continue, I won't stop you." Lin Rei did not waste any time and said to Long Tian. He turned his head and gestured to Chu Ci and Yunkai behind him. Then, they quickly went back the way they came. In a few flashes, the three of them disappeared from Long Tian and Hong Lian's sight. Long Tian, who remained behind, was extremely confused and bewildered. He didn't understand why Lin Li had suddenly stopped leaving. "Let's go, we can't stay here any longer." However, just as he was puzzled, Hong Lian's voice rang in his ears. Her voice was very pleasant, and Long Tian was instantly awakened. Why are you also?" Hong Lian smiled bitterly and shook her head when she saw Long Tian's reaction. "The danger here is beyond my young master's ability. He doesn't want Bai to lose his life here, so he can't stay here any longer. The only thing he can do now is to leave." "You." Hearing Red Lotus words, Long Tian glanced at Red Lotus hesitantly. He hadn't expected that Red Lotus would be able to read Lin Li's mind so well. Sigh. "Things remain the same, but people have changed. Some things back then made me lose the right to be by my young master's side." Hong Lian's eyes revealed a trace of sadness as she said, "Let's go." Before Long Tian could react, Hong Lian used her cultivation and turned into a streak of fiery red light to escape from the secret realm. Sigh. Long Tian looked at Hong Lian's expression and then turned around to look at the pitch-black space behind him. Finally, his eyes focused and he disappeared, chasing after Hong Lian. Just like that, the trip to the secret realm ended. At this moment, the disciples from the various sects and aristocratic families who had come to the secret realm to obtain treasures did not expect that Lin Rei, who had entered the secret realm, would be rushing out as fast as he could while they were excitedly waiting for Wu Yanzi to break the array. No, don't go. My energy, I can feel it. This energy is very strong. Don't have it. At this moment, in a canyon in the deepest part of the secret realm, a man with disheveled hair and a very strong and ruthless aura was roaring madly in the direction of the canyon. This man's eyes were filled with unwillingness. He was not resentful, but there was nothing he could do. The energy he was talking about was Lin Ray, who had entered the secret realm. The powerful energy he was talking about was also Lin Ray. Originally, he thought that he would be able to eat his fill, but he did not expect that the fat meat in his mouth would fly away just like that. He was unwilling, but what could he do? At this moment, his limbs, waist, and neck were all tied up with iron chains that emitted a faint cold light. Chapter 654. Why did you give me this kind of power but won't let me leave the secret realm for the rest of my life? I have to appear in front of the world with someone else's face. Heavens, you really know how to play, huh? Feeling the chill from the chains, the man felt a chill in his heart. He was unwilling to be impudent, but he didn't hold back at all. Just like that, he cursed at the sky. After a few hours, his angry face finally disappeared and was replaced by a calm expression. People said that the heart was as still as water, but the middle-aged man's face was as still as water. Since you're leaving at this time, you must know something. Looks like the days ahead won't be easy. His calm voice was filled with helplessness. After saying that, the middle-aged man closed his eyes again, and the pitch-black space returned to calm. Soon, we're almost out. I can feel the power of the formation. Lin Ray, who had brought Chu Si and Yun Che along the way, had said that they were leaving this place. He increased his speed the entire time, creating sparks and lightning as he sprinted forward. Whoosh! Lin Ray. Like a bolt of lightning, he flashed by. Young master, where are we going after we leave this place? At that moment Chu Si, who was wrapped in Linley's spiritual energy, finally spoke. He had been conflicted for a long time on the way here, wondering if he should speak or not. In the end, he couldn't control his heart. TSK, that's a question worth thinking about. Let me think about it. Lin Ray couldn't help but fall into deep thought when he heard Chu Si's question. However, he didn't slow down at all. In fact, he was even faster than before. Chu Si, after we leave this place, follow me back to the Danzong Sect. Everything was fine when we left. This time, when we go back, we'll personally explain the matter between the two of us. While we're at it, what do you think? Right at this moment, the silent Yun Kai finally spoke. However, her words stunned Chu Si. Let's go back. Not only do you have to go back, but this time, this sovereign wants to go with you. Let's go to the 9th continent that the divine realm fears. While Chu Si was still in a daze, Lin Ray's voice suddenly rang out. This attracted the gazes of both of them. You heard it right. Looking at their puzzled expressions, Lin Ray said helplessly, I said that I want to go back with you guys this time and train in the 9th continent. However, before that, we have to seal this place. Otherwise, when the things inside spread, I'm afraid that things will be bad. What? Hearing Lin Ray's words, Chu Si didn't quite understand. It wasn't just them, Yun Kai was the same. My previous guess was right. The martial saint is indeed there. Not only that, the martial saint's strength far surpasses mine. What's even more frightening is that his origin is also very ancient. Alas, the untainted land is still a long time ago. Therefore, this matter is no longer something we can handle. With regards to their questions, Linley naturally answered them all. After all, he had nothing to do right now, and he had nothing to do anyway. As such, when you go out this time, first seal this secret realm, then go find this sovereign's sect. When this sovereign sees that everything is normal in the sect, I'll take you to your sections. This sovereign will personally talk to your master. Hearing this, Chu Si and Yun Kai were stunned. However, they were very surprised by what he had just said. Alright, let's not talk about it anymore. We're here. Looking at the two of them, Linley smiled. After saying a few words to them, he rushed out of the door and arrived at the entrance. As the saying went, it was easy to enter but difficult to leave. For Lin Ray, entering and leaving was not difficult. It was just a bit troublesome to enter. Let's go. It's time for us to leave. Looking at the remaining door, for a moment, Linley didn't linger any longer. He immediately began to walk towards the formation. Master, that. Hong Lian, whoosh, whoosh. At that moment, just as Chu Si was about to speak, two figures suddenly rushed out of the door and appeared in front of everyone. Immediately, Chu Si's face relaxed and she smiled. Lin Ray had already sensed the two of them, so he did not panic. Alright, since you're here, let's leave. Without turning around, he faced the formation and frowned. He began to deduce the way out in his mind. Because of his previous experience, it was very easy for him to deduce the way out this time. Quick, now's the time. Suddenly, Linley let out a shout, and an azure dragon appeared. And then, the azure dragon seemed to come to life. With a swing of its tail, it swept everyone up and quickly rushed out. At that moment, Lin Ray used all of his strength. This was because he had only calculated that the passage would last for 5 breaths of time. After 5 breaths of time, the passage would disappear and the formation would reappear. At that moment, in the outside world, everyone's eyes were fixed on the door. Everyone's eyes were filled with anticipation. In front of the door, Wu Yanzi was desperately trying to deduce the entrance of the formation. Perhaps it was because he wanted to become an honorable array master, so his forehead was covered in cold sweat. Roar, however, at that moment, just as Wu Yanzi was having a headache, the roar of an azure dragon was heard. Everyone present heard the roar of the azure dragon. Whoosh! Just as the crowd was confused by the sound of the azure dragon, the body of the azure dragon suddenly appeared. On the head of the azure dragon, there was a familiar person standing there. Damn, isn't that the person who entered the secret realm? Why is he out? Right. What right? That's right, he's the person who entered the secret realm. At that moment, the first to regain their senses were not the big shots of the realm of the gods, but the small fries. When they saw Lin Ray rushing out of the formation, their faces were filled with fanaticism. Phew! I'm finally out. I was almost sucked into the god-engulfing formation. Lin Ray, who was on the head of the azure dragon, turned around and used his divine sense to check the closing passage. At that moment, he was extremely frightened. If he had been a second late, he would have become the god-engulfing formation's food. Alright, Long Tian, protect them. I'll go and seal this secret realm. Looking at Long Tian, who was being wrapped up by the dragon's tail, Lin Fan did not wait for his reply. Then, he gestured to Chu Si and the other two and disappeared in front of everyone. When he reappeared, Lin Ray was already in front of the door. You're the person who entered the secret realm? The sudden greeting made Lin Ray suspicious. At that moment, he used his divine sense and saw a white-haired old man looking at him excitedly. Instantly, Lin Ray was even more confused. However, Lin Ray did not intend to hide his question. He nodded and said, "That's right, I entered the secret realm. What's the matter?" Looking at Lin Ray, Wu Yanzi was about to speak but was mercilessly interrupted by Lin Ray. Alright, stop talking. I still have things to do. Let's talk after I'm done. After saying that, Lin Ray did not have the chance to look at him. Instead, he went in front of the door and activated his mental strength. Then, he casually started to draw talismans in front of the door. In the eyes of outsiders, Lin Ray was like a fool. However, in Wu Yanzi's eyes, he was shocked by the principles of formations. Every great Tao made him feel inferior. Sigh. There are millions of extraordinary people in this world. After all, I'm a frog at the bottom of a well. This person is so young, but he's already an honorable realm array master. Moreover, his proficiency is even higher than mine. Tsk, it seems like I have to work harder. Wu Yanzi, who had been staring at Lin Rei operating the formation, sighed in his heart. Then, he regained his spirit and began to comprehend the principles of formations in the formation that Lin Rei was operating. However, at this moment, the people below who were stunned by Lin Rei regained their senses. When they saw Lin Rei's actions, they were furious. Of course, in this anger, there was more greed. They wanted to know what Lin Rei had obtained from the secret realm. Liao Bufan, I'll make the first move. Anyway, you're so generous. You don't lack money. At this moment, Zhou Tongzi, who was with Liao Bufan, could no longer hide the greed in his eyes. Then, he said to Liao Bufan and released his cultivation. His body instantly rushed out like a ghost. Hee kid, quickly hand over the things you obtained from the secret realm. If you do so, the Emperor can consider giving you a way out. At this moment, Zhou Tongzi had already arrived behind Lin Rei. His tone was heavy and full of threat as he spoke to Lin Rei. However, Lin Rei did not care about such an idiot who suddenly appeared. What he wanted to do now was to seal the secret realm. Seeing that the person in front of him did not intend to pay attention to him, how could a god, who was a giant of the god realm, endure such grievances? Then, his intent began to rise. Kid, you've completely angered this honorable. Even if you hand over everything now, it's impossible for you to leave. Idiot. Linley didn't have any good feelings towards this person who had suddenly appeared behind him and was talking to himself. In fact, Linley had an impulse to charge forward and slap him to death. Damn, this kid has too much personality, right? Tsk, this is called personality? What's the point of calling him bold? He's scolding the sect master of Enigma Palace. Tisk, who cares about them? Anyway, they didn't scold us. To us, it's just a show. At this moment, when everyone heard the words of the mysterious young man, Zhou Tongzi, for a moment, their faces were filled with smiles as they began to discuss. Sigh. This kid is going to suffer. At this moment, on the other side, Liao Bufan looked at Lin Rei's current appearance and his face was filled with helplessness and pity as he sighed. Then, Father, at this moment, Liao Jun, who was standing at the side, looked at Lin Rei's current situation and for a moment, his face was filled with worry as he spoke to his sighing father. It's too late. At this moment, when Zhou Tongzi, who was behind Lin Rei, heard Lin Rei call him an idiot, his killing intent rose and his body moved at this moment. He was already very close to Lin Rei. Seeing that Zhou Tongzi's fist was about to land on Lin Rei's body, those who were familiar with Lin Rei did not dare to continue watching. In the end, they directly closed their eyes and prayed in their hearts. Scram! Chapter 655. Just as Zhou Tongzi's fist was about to land on Lin Rei's body, a fiery red figure suddenly appeared behind Lin Rei like a ghost. As soon as the word "scram" was uttered, the spiritual energy within 1,000 meters started to become restless. An enormous pressure also suddenly appeared at this moment. It came without any warning, giving people a feeling of abruptness. However, in the face of this pressure and the violent changes in the surrounding spiritual energy, even Yun Yen, Liao Bufan and the others, who were god emperors, had no ability to interfere. They could only watch the changes in the surroundings and wait helplessly in place. A loud bang was heard. Looking over, Zhou Tongzi, who had been very close to Lin Rei, was now vomiting blood. His aura was weak as he fell 100 meters away. As he flew backwards, the houses that blocked his way were all shattered and turned to dust after coming into contact with him. Only when he was 100 meters away did Zhou Tongzi's body come to a stop with great difficulty. However, at this moment, he could no longer move. This was because an enormous pressure, so enormous that it exceeded the range of his posture, was suppressing him. Hiss, hiss. At this moment, the entire process was silent. Other than the fool who was sucking in a breath, everyone's eyes were filled with deep emotion and their body movements were very similar at this moment. Everyone's eyes were wide open. Their eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. At the same time, their mouths were also wide open. It was obvious that they did not expect the scene just now. In fact, they still felt that this matter was unreal. Of course, the most shocked people were Liao Bufan and Yunyan, who were at the same level as Zhou Tongzi. At this moment, the two of them were so shocked that they could not speak. "All right, if you have the time, why don't you hurry up and help me seal this secret realm?" Just as everyone was stunned and the entire place was silent, Lin Rei's impolite voice rang out. Everyone was shocked once again. Damn, this is such an awesome person, yet this person speaks so impolitely. Who is this person? Yeah, this person is simply awesome. I really don't understand why such a person is not famous in the God Realm. Looks like the God Realm is going to be in chaos. First it was the 9th continent, then it's his appearance. Looks like there won't be good days in the future. At this moment, when everyone heard what Lin Rei said to the mysterious woman who had suddenly appeared, and saw his attitude towards her, they immediately began to discuss. They were not the only ones discussing this, Liao Bufan was also discussing it. When he heard Lin Rei say such words to the mysterious expert that had suddenly appeared, his heart was filled with doubt. In shock, he sent a message to his children behind him. Xiao Jun Yuning, have you seen this person before? And no. They were very puzzled by their father's question. When they had been by Linli's side, they had never seen such a person. Liao Bufan fell silent when he heard this. He never expected that even his own children were unaware of this, and he started to size up the relationship between his children and Linli once more. At this moment, the person standing beside Lin Rei was none other than Xiefeng, who had rushed over from the restaurant. It turned out that the moment Lin Rei had left the secret realm, he had sent a voice transmission to Ying, as well as Xiefeng and the others in the restaurant, telling them to hurry over. That was why the current scene had occurred. At this moment, Xiefeng, who was standing behind Lin Rei, heard his words and her face was filled with helplessness. She reluctantly said, "TSK, you only know how to make me work. I don't care, you have to compensate me." Hearing Xiefeng's words, Lin Rei was dumbfounded. Because, at this moment, Xiefeng's words were somewhat different from her usual style. It seemed as if her personality had changed a little. "Do you agree or not? Of course, you can choose not to agree. However, this is a holy level array. Although your venerable level array has the effect of sealing, this effect will not last for long. This secret realm will appear again, so you can only choose to agree." Hearing this, Lin Rei was completely dumbfounded. Wasn't this a clear threat? Moreover, what did she mean by agree or not? Since she had put it this way, he had no choice but to agree. Thinking of this, Lin Rei used his divine sense to look at Xiefeng. Then, he nodded helplessly and agreed. Okay, I agree, okay? As long as you want it, I will definitely get it for you. As long as you want it, even if it is a star, I will refine it into a magic treasure for you to play with every day. How about that? Oh, at least you know what's good for you. Hearing Lin Rei's words, Xiefeng's face revealed a trace of a smile. Then, she came to Lin Rei's side and spoke. Suddenly, the spiritual chi of fire was activated in an instant. Mysterious runes appeared at this moment. Finally, the mysterious runes were engraved on the door. Lin Rei could naturally sense Xiefeng's actions at this moment. Regarding this, Lin Rei laughed in his heart. As for the request, Lin Rei felt that Xiefeng would not make things difficult for him. "All of you, stay by our side and protect us. If anyone dares to step forward, no matter who it is, kill without mercy." Right at this moment, Linli suddenly turned his head and spoke into the air, causing everyone to scratch their heads in confusion. However, at this moment, at the moment when Lin Ray finished speaking and everyone was puzzled, 5 men and 1 woman appeared in an instant. They appeared without any warning. Their appearance caught everyone somewhat off guard. The moment the 6 people appeared, they turned around and bowed to Lin Ray. "Yes, we will obey your orders." Boom. As soon as these words were spoken, it set off another wave. It was a wave that everyone would never be able to stop. It was a wave that would be deeply engraved in their minds for the rest of their lives. How is this possible? These people's cultivation. I am unable to guess. Except for that young man who is a monarch god, the others' cultivation is, at this moment Liao Bufan, who had been paying attention to Lin Ray, saw the appearance of these people. Then, he began to sense their cultivation. But what shocked him was that among the 6 people, there was only 1 person. Other than the young man's cultivation that he could sense, the other's cultivation was like a cloud of fog that blocked his senses. He was extremely shocked. Although he had seen such a thing before, those people were all ultimate gods in the divine realm. He would never have thought that these people were actually ultimate gods. Moreover, they appeared in a group. Seeing them respectfully guarding Lin Ray and the woman in red, not allowing anyone to get close to them, Liao Bufan began to suspect and speculate. Interesting. The world is so big and there is always someone better than you. The Emperor is indeed a frog at the bottom of the well. I did not expect such an existence to appear in the divine realm. The Emperor's sect actually did not receive any news about this. Sigh. At this moment, Yun Yen, who had been paying close attention to Linley, saw the appearance of these mysterious people. A look of disappointment and desolation appeared on his face. But at the same time, he began to worry. He was worried that these people might threaten his sect. However, Lin Ray did not want to know their thoughts. At the same time, he did not care to know. At this moment, he only wanted to seal the secret realm. Phew. After discovering this pocket, Linley let out a long sigh of relief. In his heart, he grew even more nervous. The more nervous he was, the more nervous he became. After all, in all of history, this was the most difficult formation to set up, the octagon formation. The octagon lock formation, as the name suggested, was a formation that was deduced from the principles of the 8 trigrams. As for its level, it was at the peak of the honorable realm. Of course, its effect was also top-notch. The octagon lock formation represented the 8 elements of metal, wood, water, fire, earth, thunder, wind, and ice. Lin Ray was very confident about this. With the octagon lock formation and Xie Feng's secret formation, sealing the secret realm would be a piece of cake. Octagon lock, seal the 4 directions. With Yuan as the medium and Su as the foundation, seal the 8 directions. As Lin Ray muttered, the seals on his hands began to change rapidly. One by one, the seals became faster and more bitter. On the other hand, Xie Feng was like Lin Ray. Her speed was even faster than Lin Ray's. Octagon lock formation? Although I don't know what it is, since you asked for my help, how can I fool you? Xie Feng opened her eyes and glanced at Lin Ray. Suddenly, the corners of her mouth rose slightly, revealing an excited expression. Then, the seals began to change at this moment. Following the appearance of the seals, balls of red flames were engraved on the door together with the seals. ZZ. The moment Xie Feng's seals were on the door, there was a strange sound. However, as the strange sound disappeared, a lifelike phoenix appeared on the door. Its body was burning with red flames, giving people a sense of sacredness and awe. The immortal seal. Although it's at the sage level, it's not a formation. It's just a forbidden technique. Alas. If you didn't mention it, I'm afraid I wouldn't be willing to leave such a thing here. With a sigh, Xie Feng looked at Lin Ray unwillingly. Then, she cast the last seal and withdrew her cultivation. She left the seal and came to the side of the 6 people. It's really fast. You're indeed a sage expert. Linley was naturally able to sense the departure of the evil phoenix. However, he was even more able to sense the pressure and shock emanating from the evil phoenix above the door. Linley smiled in response. However, he could tell that it wasn't a formation, but a special type of restriction. Linley smiled and worked even harder. He was very clear about his own formation. This formation still needed some time before it could be completed. Therefore, he wasn't in a hurry. After all, with them around, no one would be able to get close to him. At this moment, a pale middle-aged man was lying on the ground 100 meters away. His face was extremely hideous. Together with the blood on his face, he gave off a horrifying feeling. Chapter 656. Amen? Hey, you're still alive? Hearing Zhou Tongzi's roar of pain, everyone immediately turned their gazes over. They were not the only ones. Even Hong Lian was doing the same. However, upon seeing that person's current condition, she immediately became interested. Tsk, you can't. Senior Xiefeng, that person had already attempted to kill young master. It's not good for you to do this. At that moment, Ghostly, who was standing beside Xiefeng, saw Zhou Tongzi's current condition and felt a bit awkward. At the same time, he spoke mockingly. Although they had all eaten pills and obeyed Linley's orders, they still remembered what had happened. They knew even better about the humiliation the evil phoenix had inflicted upon them. Thus, at that moment, although they would not be able to take revenge, they would still be able to vent their frustrations with words. As someone who had missed out on Ghostly for so many years, how could she not know what he was thinking? She took a glance at him and then ignored him. She turned around and quietly looked at Zhou Tongzi, who was crawling back up. A trace of interest appeared on her face. As for Lin Rei, who was setting up a spirit formation, she knew that it would take some time for him to set up such a spirit formation. Thus, he had to find something to do. Otherwise, he would be bored to death. At that moment, the malevolent-looking Zhou Tongzi's internal organs were rolling around non-stop. His chest was bleeding profusely. However, for the sake of not letting the crowd see through it, he could only endure it. He was doing all of this for the sake of his worthless face. To people like him who were sitting in high positions, face was everything. Without face, everything would be gone. Cough cough. Zhou Tongzi, who had crawled back up with great difficulty, was swaying weakly due to his injuries. It was as if a gust of wind would cause him to collapse. This woman is actually so powerful. Likely, only the Supreme Elders would be able to fight her, no? At this moment, Zhou Tongzi began to make plans for himself. He had lost face here today, and if he didn't get it back, it wouldn't be long before the entire God realm knew that he, Zhou Tongzi, the palace master of the Enigma Palace, had been sent flying by a woman. Furthermore, it was a nameless woman who wouldn't even have a good reputation in the God realm. He could not endure this humiliation. He wanted revenge. At this moment, Zhou Tongzi's eyes were already blinded by hatred. He simply could not see clearly what was happening behind Lin Rei. However, it was no longer just a woman. Moreover, what he didn't know was that even without Xiefeng, the others could still send him flying. Of course, other than the boys, everyone else could do it. Even Ying could. Sigh. It seems like this matter is not going to end well. At that moment, Liao Bufan, who was Zhou Tongzi's good friend, was standing not too far away. Based on Liao Bufan's personality, as well as the hatred in Zhou Tongzi's eyes, Liao Bufan knew that if he rested for a while, he would most likely suffer a calamity. However, as his good friend, even though he was a member of the Devil Sect, he had no choice but to help. Thinking about this, Liao Bufan prepared to move towards Zhou Tongzi. However, right at this moment, Liao Jun's voice sounded from behind him. "Father, you can't do this. How am I supposed to conduct myself in front of Lin Ray if you do this? That's right, father. You can't do this. Furthermore, with such a great disparity in strength, could it be that you didn't see it clearly? That woman's strength is obviously not simple. Even if the Supreme Elders are here this time, what do you think the odds of success are? Liao Yuning also spoke. That was because she knew that with her younger brother's personality, it was simply impossible for him to persuade her father. However, even she didn't dare to guarantee that she would be able to persuade him. However, with regards to Lin Ray's strength, and thinking about their sect, Liao Yuning couldn't help but worry. Sigh. Hearing his children's words, Liao Bufan sighed deeply and said via voice transmission, I know about this matter as well. But Zhou Tongzi and I have been good friends for many years. Although the two of us usually fight and kill each other, he will come to help us when we're in real danger. Thus, I've already decided on this matter. There's no need to say anything more. As he spoke, Liao Bufan's eyes were filled with determination. He turned around and looked at his children. Liao Bufan spoke again, the two of you stay here. Or push far away. I'm afraid this place won't be safe in a while. Father, seeing their father's appearance for a moment. Liao Jun couldn't help but speak up to stop him. Right at this moment. Just as he was about to speak, Liao Yuning stopped him and said, Forget it, little brother. We can't change father's decision. What should we do then? It's not like you don't know brother Lin Ray's strength. What if? Thinking about Lin Ray's strength, Liao Jun's face instantly turned deathly pale. He didn't dare to continue thinking about it. So, let's think about how to plead with Lin Ray to let our father go? Although we don't have a 100% chance, we still have a 40% chance. As she spoke, Liao Yuning looked worriedly at her father's back. At this moment, tears flowed down from her eyes. Looking at this scene, Liao Jun sighed. That's the only way. Since you're going, our central sect naturally can't fall behind. Although the Emperor doesn't have a good relationship with you guys, after all, it's not easy to earn your favor. Looking at Liao Bufan's actions, Yun Yan's mind spun rapidly. Suddenly, an excellent idea appeared in her mind. Immediately, she used her cultivation and instantly arrived beside Liao Bufan. When she caught up with Liao Bufan, Yun Yan withdrew her cultivation and walked side by side with Liao Bufan. I didn't expect you to come too. I don't understand. You don't have a good relationship with that idiot. Why? The idiot. At this moment, when Yun Yan heard how Liao Bufan addressed Zhou Tongzi, she was stunned for a moment. Alright, you don't have to say any more. If there's anything, you should leave it for him. Looking at Yun Yan, for a moment, Liao Bufan shook his head helplessly. After saying that, he shut his mouth and quickly walked towards Zhou Tongzi. 100 meters wasn't very far away. Therefore, the two of them arrived very quickly. When Zhou Tongzi saw the two of them, a strange look appeared in his eyes. Obviously, he didn't expect the current situation. People say that when disaster strikes, everyone flies away. Seeing the two's actions at this moment, Zhou Tongzi was puzzled. Don't worry, I won't help you for nothing. After this, I'll give you 100 divine crystals. If you don't give it to me, I'll kill you. Do you believe me? Hearing Liao Bufan's words, Zhou Tongzi instantly understood. Although he said that he wanted 100 divine crystals, he knew that this was just an excuse. Zhou Tongzi's eyes were filled with gratitude. When Yun Yan heard Liao Bufan's words, she smiled helplessly and said, I'm not as generous as Sect Master Liao. My request is very simple. I only want Sect Master Zhou to owe me a favor. Okay, then it's settled. Hearing their request, Zhou Tongzi was so happy that he went crazy. Although he didn't expect anyone to help him and was already prepared to fight to the death, now that such a thing had happened, he naturally couldn't ask for more. Not bad. I didn't expect them to not be afraid of danger at this moment. Although there are benefits involved, I really underestimated the relationship between the sects in the God realm. At this moment, Xiefeng, Ghostly and the others who had been watching from below revealed a strange look on their faces. TCH, when disaster strikes, everyone flies away. This is a philosophy that hasn't changed since ancient times. At this moment, he still doesn't know your strength. If he knew, I'm afraid he wouldn't think so. At this moment, the male disciple at the side looked at the scene at this moment. For a moment, his face was filled with disdain and contempt as he spoke to the crowd. When the male disciple's voice reached Xiefeng and the others' ears, they were instantly stunned. They didn't expect the male disciple to have such thoughts. Okay, no matter what, they're not a concern. What's more important is the ones hidden in the cage. Those are all in the ultimate God realm. Looking at the crowd's expressions, Ying couldn't bear to watch any longer and immediately spoke to the crowd. He raised his head and looked at the cage with a solemn expression. That's right. Little Ying is right. There are so many hidden auras in the air. But don't worry, their auras are far from the 3 Ghost Kings. Moreover, even if you can't do it, don't you still have me? Xiefeng did not deny Ying's words. As for those few auras, she had already sensed them when she arrived. Therefore, she wasn't surprised by this. A young lady, don't worry. You stay by the young master's side. I'll go and meet them. Seeing Ying's worry, Ghostly comforted him and instantly left the group and disappeared from the crowd's sight. Boy, you're quite anxious. After sensing Ghostly's aura, Xiefeng's face showed a hint of interest. She then smiled and said nothing. She looked up at the sky. At this moment, other than Xiefeng, no one else could see what was happening in the sky. At that moment, 5 white-haired old men were watching from the sky. They were leisurely watching what was happening below. However, when they saw a person suddenly disappear from the range of their divine senses, their expressions changed drastically. How is this possible? This person is so strong that even my divine sense can't sense his existence? At this moment, one of the 5 old men said to himself with a shocked expression. Of course you won't be able to see it. That's because your strength is still a far cry from this king's. So get down. What? The sudden sentence caught all the old men off guard. The old man who spoke just now was looking for the person who disappeared and naturally did not react in time. At this moment, before anyone could react, Ghostly, who was behind one of the old men, kicked the old man's back. A blood-curdling scream rang out. Following that, the old man, who was caught off guard, was knocked down by Ghostly. You sneak attack. You're not a gentleman. At this moment, a voice rang in Ghostly's ears. Instead of being angry, Ghostly smiled. Haha, I'm willing. You're not convinced? Bite me if you're not convinced. Idiot. Chapter 657. Ghostly's words instantly stunned the remaining 4 old men. Their eyes were filled with a strange look. This guy, I didn't expect him to joke like this. What a joke. At that moment, Xiefeng, who had been protecting Lin Rei, had been observing everything in the sky with her divine consciousness. At that moment, all of Ghostly's actions and words could not escape her divine consciousness. After hearing Ghostly's words, Xiefeng instantly burst out laughing. What's wrong? When Ying saw Evil Phoenix's reaction, he asked in confusion, What's the matter? Ying's words piqued the curiosity of the young man and the other 2 Ghost Kings. Instantly, everyone looked over curiously. However, they were ignored by Xiefeng in the end. Xiefeng ignored Ying's question and continued to observe the situation in the sky with her divine consciousness. At that moment, the remaining 4 old men in the sky looked at the shameless person in front of them and felt a sense of helplessness. Take what happened just now as an example. With such strength, even if it was a sneak attack, they did not notice it at all. This showed how terrifying this person's strength was. Alright, stop thinking about it. You guys are enjoying the show here, but my young master doesn't like it. So, I'll give you two choices. Your young master? After Ghostly said that, one of them asked curiously. Yes, my young master. Ghostly looked at the person who spoke and did not hide anything. My young master is the one who is sealing the secret realm. Although my young master did not say anything, you guys can't do it here. Ghostly did not intend to stop talking. So, the first choice is for you guys to go down and wait for my young master to wake up. As for what you guys will do, you'll have to wait for my young master to wake up. What? That's impossible. We are godly venerable experts, we can't be humiliated like this. At that moment, after hearing Ghostly's first choice, the four old men's expressions changed instantly. They were determined to disagree. It's fine if you don't agree. Then, the second choice. As he spoke, the smile on Ghostly's face disappeared, replaced by a gloomy and bloodthirsty expression. The second option is for me to defeat all of you here. Of course, if any of you are unlucky enough to be killed during the fight, tisk, that's something that can't be helped. After all, no one can guarantee their own strength during a fight. Therefore, it's better to be safe than sorry. Make your choice. First or second. The moment he said those words, the entire sky fell silent. The four old men fell silent. They didn't think that the person in front of them would be so decisive and merciless. Ah, good, well done. That's how it is. Before Lin Ray finishes setting up the formation, no one is allowed to leave. Even if they are the grand elders of the various sects, they are not allowed to leave. There's no need for that. Just kill them. At that moment, Ghostly looked at the silent individuals and sat down. However, the moment he sat down, Xiefeng's voice was heard. Immediately, he and Smarty stood up like obedient children. They were no longer as arrogant as before. I know. Don't worry, these people are people who cherish their lives. They won't choose a choice that is different from death. That's why I think they won't choose to fight. Ghostly's eyes flashed with disdain. He continued, that's why the latter's principle is their best principle. Don't worry. As soon as he said that, Xiefeng, who was standing beside Lin Ray, smiled happily. At this moment, in front of her eyes, a figure fell rapidly from the sky. It was as fast as a shooting star, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Damn, that's the supreme god who was kicked down by Ghostly. She looked at the figure. Suddenly, Xiefeng guessed in her heart. Then, her divine sense caught up with the white figure. It was the supreme god who was kicked down by Ghostly. This kid. He's quite strong. I didn't expect him to be like this with just one kick. At that moment, the old man's face was pale and there was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. His aura was weak and his white hair was disheveled. There was a footprint on his back. In short, he was very pleasing to the eye at that moment. Bang! A loud sound was heard. At that moment, the falling figure had successfully landed on the ground. Instantly, the ground shook and a huge pit of more than 10 meters appeared. Damn, what's going on? Damn, don't tell me it's a meteorite. TSK ignorant. That's obviously a person. However, this person fell from above. TSK, sigh, I wonder what happened to him. At this moment the loud sound appeared, the surrounding people began to discuss. Everyone had their own opinions. If the old man could hear their discussion at this moment, he would probably jump out of the pit in anger and give each of them a big slap on the face. However, he no longer had the energy to do so. After all, he only cultivated his aura and did not cultivate his physical body. Therefore, the injury this time would not be easily healed. What's going on? Why do I feel that the aura of that figure is so familiar? It's like my sect's supreme elder. At that moment, Zhou Tongzi and the other two who were 100 meters away could naturally feel it and even see the falling figure. However, They could only see that it was a person and could not see anything else clearly. The moment Zhou Tongzi sensed that figure, a familiar feeling surged in his heart and he could not help but mutter. "What, you guys, you said he's your sect's supreme elder? That old man?" Zhou Tongzi's mutter had already caused Liao Bufan to be shocked. If this matter was true, then today's matter would be really troublesome. "That's right, I seem to feel a familiar figure. As for whether it's him or not, I don't know." Seeing Liao Bufan's reaction, Zhou Tongzi felt very helpless. The moment he finished speaking, his divine sense instantly rushed out. In an instant, his divine sense covered the huge pit that was smashed. Hiss, when he saw the person in the huge pit, he immediately sucked in a mouthful of cold air. His face instantly turned pale and his entire body instantly became weak and limp on the ground. Damn, it can't be true. At that moment, Liao Bufan, who had been standing at the side, saw Zhou Tongzi's reaction and immediately knew that this matter was serious. "Hey, it's true. That's my sect's supreme elder, but he's already seriously injured and can't move." Once those words were said, regardless of whether it was Zhou Tongzi himself, Liao Bufan or even Yun Yan who had remained silent the entire time, they were all filled with astonishment and disbelief. They knew very well how powerful those old farts were. And now they saw a supreme elder directly falling from the sky and being seriously injured. To them, this was undoubtedly the most shocking blow. At that moment, Ghostly, who was in the sky, looked around. As he looked at the pitch-black scenery and the cold wind blowing, a smile appeared on his face. "Hey, are you done discussing? My time is limited. Stand there and give me the answer I want immediately. Otherwise, this exalted will attack." As he said those words, a burst of vigorous cultivation instantly rushed out. The current Ghostly was like an ancient ferocious beast that had completely awakened from its slumber. He gave off a bloodthirsty feeling. Hiss, seeing Ghostly's current appearance and the aura emitted from his body, the expressions of the remaining 4 old men immediately changed. The thought of fighting to the end in their minds was completely destroyed at that moment. "I choose the second option. I'll go down." At that moment, after one of the old men agreed, he immediately used his cultivation and instantly descended. "Damn, this old fart." At that moment, one of the old men saw the person who had already made his decision and left. Instantly, he had complaints in his heart. Clearly, you were the one who decided to fight. I didn't expect you to be such a coward." Even though he really wanted to, after the first one, there would be a second and a third. In the end, one by one, they all left. Only he was still hesitating. Do you want me to help you? I don't mind. Of course, if I help, there might be unexpected result. Do you need my help?" In the previous instant, the old man was still hesitating. In the next instant, he saw that he had given up. With a face full of smiles, he instantly descended. "TCA, a bunch of trash. Trying to act cool in front of me? Don't you know who I am?" Seeing them leave one by one, a trace of a smile appeared on Ghostly's face. Immediately, he flew down. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. At that moment, in the sky, streaks of white light instantly descended. At this moment, everyone's gaze was fixed on the white light in the sky. Their faces were filled with confusion. "Alright, you guys go ahead. I'm going to my sect. Let's part ways here." At that moment, among the watchers who flew down from the sky, one of the old men saw Yun Yan standing below. Immediately, he smiled at the crowd and instantly disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already beside Yun Yan. "TCH, this old fart." Seeing him like this, the rest of the watchers also made their choice. Returning to their own sects, they hid their cultivation and turned into ordinary old men. "He's back." At that moment, at Lin Rei's side, a black figure suddenly appeared. However, the moment he appeared, Xie Feng looked at him with a smile. In an instant, a bad premonition filled his heart. Chapter 658. Yes, yes. Looking at Xie Feng's smile, Ghostly had a bad premonition. He remembered clearly that the last time he saw her smile like this was when she suppressed them at the ghost world's sacred mountain. This time, he didn't know what kind of trouble they would face. Not only Ghostly, but the other two ghost kings also trembled when they saw Xie Feng's smile. They almost fell to the ground. Actually, it's nothing much. I just feel that you've worked hard. Hearing this, everyone was stunned. Ghostly wanted to cry, but no tears came out. He couldn't help but think, just give me a quick death. Don't treat me like this. Seeing everyone's reaction, the evil phoenix shook his head helplessly. He had wanted to tease Lin Fan a little, but it seemed that he couldn't do that anymore. Then, the evil phoenix returned to its usual coldness. In this regard, the evil phoenix's change gave the three ghost kings a sign of relief. However, at this moment, Yun Yen was already looking at her. With a smile, he suddenly said, "Little Yun Yen, long time no see. How's your cultivation?" Grand Elder? The sudden words made Yun Yen quiver. She quickly turned around. When she saw the old man standing beside her, Yun Yen immediately opened her mouth and bowed respectfully. "Haha, you may rise." Seeing Yun Yen bow, a smile appeared on his face. He then said to her, "I didn't want to come this time, but your master wanted me to ensure your safety." "So, my master?" Hearing this, Yun Yan's nervous expression relaxed. However, when she heard the next sentence, Yun Yan was shocked. "Yes, he is indeed your master. However, I'm still shocked by what I've gained this time." Earlier, when the five of us were watching anxiously from above, a middle-aged man suddenly appeared. With absolute strength, he forced all of us down. Moreover, he even knocked down that old bastard from the Enigma Palace with a single kick. "What? This? Impossible! My Sect's Grand Elder can't?" Of course, Zhou Tongzi and Liao Bufan, who stood to the side, were also able to hear them. Facing that, the Enigma Palace's sect master's expression became ugly. He wanted to explain himself, but when he recalled what he had seen earlier, he immediately shut his mouth and did not say anything. At this moment, Liao Bufan and Yun Yen were equally shocked. They never thought that there would be such a powerful existence here. To be able to make a hierarch expert call him fellow Taoist, their strength must be at the same level. Therefore, they did not want to believe this result. 5 ultimate gods were forced into such a state by one person. How embarrassing would it be if news of this got out? For a moment, Liao Bufan looked at the sky, at Lin Rei's direction. Immediately, he frowned and fell into deep thought. The old man seemed to have a plan for the trio's shock. He said, "All right, let's not talk about this and that. Little Yun Yen, you can't stay here any longer. Although you want to get a favor from the Enigma Palace, have you thought about this? If you lose your life, do you think this opportunity will still be useful?" At this moment, Yun Yan's eyes were filled with hesitation. After all, she had promised before, but now she had to go back on her words. "All right, this matter is decided. That person is very powerful. I am sure that unless the old ancestor comes, with just the 5 of us, The old man did not care about Yun Yan's hesitation. He immediately made the decision for her with a firm attitude. His tone was unquestionable. To Zhou Tongzi, this sentence was like a bolt from the blue. In an instant, his original hope was completely extinguished. All of them, sigh. The heavens want me dead, the heavens want me dead. In an instant, Zhou Tongzi roared towards the sky with a shrill voice. At this moment, his face was pale and his eyes were bloodshot. He looked like a demon from hell, extremely terrifying. Even the old man beside Yun Yan could not help but be shocked when he felt this aura. Heh, a cornered dog will jump over a wall. It seems that the previous lesson was too little. If I had known this would happen, I would have killed him directly. At this moment, Xiefeng, who was standing proudly in the sky, looked at Zhou Tongzi's current appearance 100 meters away and was filled with regret. Isn't he just an emperor god ant? Even if he uses blood ignition or other secret techniques, he can only reach the ultimate god realm at most. What do you think such a person can do? If he really dares to cause trouble, I will slap him. At the side, Ghostly looked at Xiefeng's appearance and said in a firm tone. At this moment, he was like a bootlicker, trying to curry favor with Xiefeng. Oh, you little brat, I really didn't expect that your mouth is getting sweeter and sweeter. You can even say these words. Looking at Ghostly, Xiefeng smiled and said to him. However, immediately after, a murderous aura burst out of her body. A moment ago, she was smiling, but in the next moment, she became a gloomy, ruthless, and bloodthirsty demon. You haven't said enough. If he really dares to attack, aren't you the Ghost King of the Ghost World? Then use the Ghost World's spells to restrain his liveliness and let him suffer the burning of the undying flame every day. I want to let him know the consequences of attacking me. When she said this, whether it was Ghostly, the other two Ghost Kings, or even Ing and the young man, they could not help but take 2 steps back and leave Xiefeng's side. 8-direction lock array, 8 directions, 8 directions, 8 directions, lock. At this moment, just when everyone was frightened by Xiefeng's words, Lin Rei's voice suddenly pierced through the air. Instantly, the fear from before disappeared and everyone turned to look at him. At this moment, Lin Rei's hands were quickly forming seals. Each seal was very mysterious and powerful. It's done. Looking at Lin Rei, Xiefeng smiled and said. She had heard of Lin Rei's array before. This was an array that had existed since ancient times. Therefore, when she saw Lin Rei's actions at this moment, she knew that this array was successfully cast. Sure enough, after Xiefeng finished speaking, the seals in Lin Rei's hands instantly became obvious. A huge array suddenly appeared and imprinted on the door. Then, it disappeared together with the door, completely disappearing in the air. Phew, the moment he felt the door disappear, Lin Rei's face revealed a relaxed smile. However, because he did not know the array, he might have consumed a lot of his heart and spiritual energy. Therefore, at this moment, Lin Rei's face was very pale. Because he was inscribing previously. He was constantly overdrawing himself. Now that the array was finished, his body relaxed and his whole body instantly fell from the sky. Damn, this kid! At this moment, Xiefeng, who had been observing Lin Rei, saw Lin Rei falling and instantly disappeared from the spot. When Xiefeng saw him again, she had already caught the falling Lin Rei in her arms. Thank you. At this moment, Linley, who was being held by someone, raised his head in confusion. He sent out his divine sense, and when he saw that it was Evil Phoenix, Linley forced out a smile and thanked her. Humph, little rascal, don't you know how much power you have? That array is at least at the peak of the honorable realm. Let me tell you, there won't be a next time. You said that you would help me defeat the Sky Emperor. So, if this happens again in the future, be careful that I will use the undying flame to refine you. Seeing that Xiefeng was so worried, Lin Rei felt warm in his heart and promised, Be careful. It won't happen again. Okay, don't talk first. Let me transfer some spiritual energy to you first. Looking at him, Xiefeng smiled. Then, a trace of pure spiritual energy instantly flowed from his back into his body. Feeling that pure spiritual energy, a comfortable feeling welled up in his heart. At this moment, Lin Rei's dantian was like a lake that had been dried up for a long time. At this moment, it was moistened by the lake water, and he felt very comfortable. 10 minutes later. Okay, you can recover by yourself later. It won't do you any good if I transfer too much of my spiritual energy to you. Okay, I know. Hearing this, he felt the spiritual energy in his body again. Then, he smiled and left Xiefeng's arms. Then, he stood in the air. Phew. Finally, the secret realm is sealed. TSK, I wanted to enter it and get some treasures. I didn't expect that I would lose money in the end. It's not worth it. His body recovered and Lin Rei returned to his previous state. However, when he thought of the secret realm, Lin Rei looked at the place where the door had disappeared with pity, and couldn't help but nag. Looking at Lin Rei, Xiefeng smiled in relief. Ing, who had been worried about him, and the others also relaxed. Greetings, young master. Okay, don't be so polite. Looking at everyone, Lin Rei chuckled and then waved his hand to return to his original state. However, at this moment, Lin Rei's gaze fell on Xian Guang. Suddenly, his eyes were full of splendor. Haha, I didn't expect you to recover so quickly. In such a short time, you have already returned to the Supreme God realm. It seems that it won't be long before you recover your previous strength. This is all thanks to young master. If it wasn't for young master, I wouldn't have been able to survive. If it wasn't for you, I'm afraid that I would still be in the monarch god realm. If it wasn't for you, I'm afraid that after tens of thousands of years, my cultivation would have fallen even more severely. Finally, I would return to the long river of time and become a pile of soil, disappearing from the world. Chapter 659. Ha ha! Lin Rei smiled and nodded when he saw Xian Guang's reaction. Then, he said in a flat tone, All right, since you've recovered, you should cultivate more. It's not impossible for you to break through to the sage realm in this way. I still want you to go to the holy world with me. As he spoke, Linley glanced at the evil phoenix and the 3 ghost kings beside him. He said, In the future, if there's anything you don't understand, you can ask them. Although your daos are different paths lead to the same destination. In the end, the truth should be similar. I trust that you will have unexpected gains. These words were meant for Xian Guang. However, they were more for Xiefeng to hear. After all, she was an expert who had broken through to the sage realm. She should have a lot of experience. If she could give a little guidance to Xian Guang and the others, they should have unexpected benefits. They might even be able to break through to the sage realm. Bah, bastard, you're really good at scheming. Don't think that I don't know what you're thinking. At this moment, a voice full of complaints resounded from the side. Xiefeng looked at Lin Rei with hidden bitterness. Then, she said snappily, Let me tell you. Although my method of breaking through to the sage realm is beneficial to them, it's still mine. Have you thought about the consequences if they do that? Of course, if you're not afraid of destroying them, I can tell them now. Lin Rei was stunned when he heard Xiefeng's words. He was sweating in his heart. He hadn't thought that this matter would be so serious. Then forget it. However, you can give them some guidance. After all, your vision is much higher than theirs. It should be helpful to them. Lin Rei was afraid that Xiefeng would refuse. So, he didn't give her a chance to speak. He quickly changed the topic. Xiefeng wanted to cry but had no tears. She was helpless. By the way, when I was arranging the formation, I heard a loud explosion. What happened? Young master, it's like this. At this moment, when Ghostly heard Lin Rei's question, he immediately replied, When you were setting up the formation, Xiefeng noticed a few exalted realm experts spying on us from above, so she asked me to go up and drag them down. However, I seem to have used too much force and directly kicked one of them to the ground. He hasn't woken up yet. As he spoke, Ghostly pointed at the watcher who was still sleeping in the huge pit. As he spoke, Lin Rei revealed a trace of shock on his face. A few exalted realm experts were spying on them. Only they would dare to say such words. However, Lin Ray didn't find anything wrong with Ghostly's method, so he didn't blame him. Instead, he smiled. You handled this matter well. However, next time, don't be as merciful as this time. As an honorable realm expert, you don't need to ask for permission in the future. Just kill him directly. At this moment, Lin Ray's voice wasn't loud, but it was guaranteed that everyone present, including Yun Yen and Liao Bufan, who were 100 miles away, heard it. As soon as he spoke, everyone had a new understanding of this young man. Previously, they were still wondering why his subordinates were so ferocious. From their point of view, they were far inferior to this young man. This young man wasn't someone who could be described as ferocious. Even using words like decisive and ruthless to describe him would be belittling his existence. At this moment, a voice appeared in everyone's heart. That voice was telling them not to provoke this young man. Otherwise, the consequences would be severe, and everyone would regret it. Yes, young master, I will remember. At this moment, when Ghostly heard Lin Ray's words, he immediately lowered his head and replied. Haha, looking at their expressions, Lin Ray smiled. Then, he looked at Long Tian, who was beside him, and said, Young man, you helped me this time. Take this bottle of elixir as your reward for helping me. As he spoke, a jade bottle with a dragon and phoenix carved on it was thrown in front of Long Tian. However, the moment the bottle arrived in front of Long Tian, it floated in the cage. Haha, thanks. Looking at this scene, everyone's eyes widened and were filled with shock. However, when some people saw the bottle, their eyes turned red with greed. However, most of them were afraid of the experts beside Lin Ray, so they forcefully suppressed the greed in their eyes. As for Long Tian, when he saw the jade bottle floating in front of him, he didn't reject it because it was his hard work. Moreover, he could feel the powerful energy coming from the jade bottle. Therefore, he didn't reject it. He reached out and took the jade bottle. Then, he threw it into his storage ring. If you have such a job in the future, feel free to look for me. The reward isn't much, just the one just now will do. Ha ha ha, alright, if there is another chance, I will definitely work with you. When he heard Long Tian's words, Lin Ray was first stunned, then he laughed heartily. Young master, at this moment, Chu Xiai, Yun Kai, and Hong Lian came in front of Lin Ray and bowed respectfully. Looking at the three of them, Lin Ray didn't say anything. He only nodded and had them stand behind him. Now that the matter here was settled, he planned to leave immediately and head to the east to find a sect. However, when he saw the people below, Lin Ray smiled and said to them, All of you can leave now. At this moment, Linley's words were like an ancient imperial edict giving amnesty to the world. Everyone relaxed, and smiles appeared on their faces. Thank you, Senior. We will take our leave now. The people below bowed deeply to Lin Ray. Then, they quickly left in all directions. They were so fast that Lin Ray was stunned. However, what he didn't know was that while he was setting up the formation, they were waiting here. It was really torturous. They were all afraid that they would be wiped out. But now that they knew that they were fine, they couldn't wait to teleport away and disappear. Furthermore, at this moment, they all swore in their hearts that they would never see him again. They would never see Linley again. A few minutes later, the originally densely packed western city gate became sparsely populated. There weren't many people left, but those who were left were all experts above the Emperor God realm. Among them were Liao Bufan, Zhou Tongzi, Yun Yen, and a few others who hadn't appeared before. Looks like there are still people who want to cause trouble? At this moment, they were looking at Lin Ray. Lin Ray also noticed them. Looking at the cultivation level that they were exuding, Lin Ray frowned. If his cultivation was at its peak, he might still be able to put up a fight. But now, his cultivation had been exhausted and his mental energy was weak. In such a state, he might not even be able to defeat a peak divine emperor, let alone kill someone. Sect leader Liao, what do you mean? Do you want to kill him while he's weak? Or do you want to leave now and ruin the sect's reputation? At this moment, Yun Yan, who had been silent all this while, spoke. However, her words had already left Liao Bufan in a dead end. This matter is no longer important. Moreover, don't think of using me to test his strength. You've seen it too. There's someone beside him who is at least stronger than our sect's supreme elder. And there's more than one person beside him. The others have all changed their minds. So, I don't want to get involved in this mess anymore. You can go now. Liao Bufan glanced at Yun Yan and said something to her. Then, he went back to his children and led them to the side. Seeing Liao Bufan's actions, Yun Yan's face turned ugly. Now that Liao Bufan had left, she had no one to fight with the person in front of her. She glanced at Zhou Tongzi and retreated to the side with the old man, separating herself from Zhou Tongzi. At this moment, Zhou Tongzi looked at everyone leaving one by one, and a miserable smile appeared on his face. They've all left. Looks like I can't leave here today. After saying that, Zhou Tongzi fell to the ground with a plop, and tears flowed out of his eyes. Sigh, if you knew this day would come, you wouldn't have done it in the first place. On the side, Yun Yan looked at Zhou Tongzi's current state and said to herself with a look of pity. Then, she did not say anything else. As for the main character of this matter, Linley, when he saw their actions, a mysterious smile appeared on his face for a moment. Then, his body suddenly moved, without any warning. When he reappeared, he was already in front of Zhou Tongzi. Come, give me a quick death. To be able to die in your hands is not a loss. Although Zhou Tongzi was injured, he could still sense Lin Rei's aura. When he felt this unfamiliar aura, he knew that he did not have much time left. At this moment, looking at Zhou Tongzi, who was sitting on the ground, Lin Rei smiled and took out a healing pill from his ring. Using his spiritual qi as a hand, he held the pill in front of Zhou Tongzi and said, "Eat this and your injuries will be healed. As for the old man in the hole, no one has paid attention to him yet. I'm sure he's from your sect. So, when your injuries are healed, quickly take him away." What, you want to save me? At this moment, Lin Rei's actions shocked everyone. Not only Liao Bufan and the others, but even Xie Feng and the others were the same. They did not understand Lin Rei's actions. Yes, although saving you makes me very unhappy as a price, I hope that you can spread the news about me. Just say that I, Lin Rei, am going to the north. That's it. Looking at Lin Rei, a trace of confusion appeared in Zhou Tongzi's eyes. He could not believe that someone who had injured him before would save him for such a small matter. Chapter 660. That's right. It's just a small matter that's insignificant to you. Lin Rei continued to speak as he looked at Zhou Tongzi. However, this time around, Lin Rei directly sent a voice transmission to him. Of course, if you're unwilling, I won't make things difficult for you. However, I cannot give you this medicinal pellet. I believe that unless a miracle occurs, who in the divine realm would dare to treat an injury caused by a saint-level expert? What? This? Hearing those words, Zhou Tongzi's expression turned into one of shock. No, that's not right. It was no longer shock, it was shock. Saint-level expert. In his world, he had never imagined that he would one day be able to see a saint-level expert in the divine realm. Although he had once thought that he would one day be able to break through his current shackles and successfully become a saint-level expert, to speak frankly, that was nothing more than a daydream. However, at this moment, after hearing Lin Rei's words, the shocked Zhou Tongzi couldn't help but glance in the direction of Xie Feng. His eyes were filled with shock, envy and admiration that he had never felt before. At this moment, when the surrounding crowd saw Zhou Tongzi's deep emotions, they were immediately stunned. They did not understand why he was acting this way. Humph! At this moment, Xie Feng felt Zhou Tongzi's gaze from afar. Immediately, she was startled by his deep emotions. She coldly snorted and turned her head away. Zhou Tongzi awkwardly scratched his head. He had an appearance as if he had done something wrong. This scene caused the surrounding crowd to be even more shocked. One must know that the person they were looking at right now was not someone else. Instead, it was Zhou Tongzi, a person who had climbed his way up in the divine realm and was now the master of a sect. They had never imagined that Zhou Tongzi would one day reveal such deep emotions. Most likely, his current expression would be remembered by everyone for the rest of their lives. How is it? Do you agree or not? If you agree, you'll be fine after eating this medicinal pellet. If you don't agree, this exalted will leave. As for you all, you'll have to fend for yourselves or be killed by others. I believe that such a person will appear. Looking at Zhou Tongzi, Linley's patience was running out. Then, he asked in a cold voice, "What do you mean?" Yes. Your business is my business." At this moment, Zhou Tongzi had the appearance of a lackey. "Rest assured, I guarantee that I will immediately spread this news. In less than a month, this news will spread throughout the entire divine realm. And, if this matter is done well, then the previous matter will be written off. In the future, I will also not make things difficult for you." Seeing him agree, Lin Rei smiled and walked towards Xie Feng and the others. However, right at this moment, a voice suddenly appeared and stopped him. "Hey Lin Rei, you didn't forget that you promised to come to my Falling Star Pavilion as a guest, right?" Hearing these words, Linley sent out his divine sense, only to see that Liao Jun and Liao Yuning were currently walking towards him. Seeing them, Lin Rei's smile widened. He naturally remembered Liao Jun, the person who often made him laugh. As for what they said, he naturally did not refute. After all, it was true. He had said so before. However, the moment Liao Jun said that, everyone around, including Zhou Tongzi, Yun Yan, and all the ultimate god experts present, were all killed at this moment. Even his father, Liao Bufan, felt a chill down his spine when he heard his son say such words to the ruthless person in front of him. Cold sweat instantly soaked his clothes at this moment. At this moment, Liao Bufan was silently praying that Lin Rei would not be angry. However, in the next moment after Lin Rei spoke, Liao Bufan's heart was raised. At this moment, he landed on the ground. "Yes, I did promise you. However, as you can see, I just came back from the Death Canyon. If it wasn't for the appearance of the secret realm here, I'm afraid I would have appeared in the north by now. So, can you postpone this matter for a while?" Looking at the Liao siblings, Lin Rei said in a calm tone, "How about this, when I'm done, when I return from the 9th continent, I'll definitely go to your Falling Star Pavilion to take a look. I also want to see what kind of place the leader of the demonic sects in the divine realm is like." You're pushing it again." At this moment, hearing Lin Rei's words, Liao Yuning said with a displeased expression. Her father, Liao Bufan, was dumbfounded. He did not expect his daughter to be so close to the person in front of him, to speak in such a tone. However, he was very happy because having such a friend. Then, thinking of this, Liao Bufan suppressed the excitement in his heart and suppressed the affection that was about to be revealed. Then, he fell silent and quietly watched the scene unfold before him. Listening to Liao Yuning's words, Lin Rei really did not know what to say. He could only stammer and try to dodge it. "Alright, I won't tease you anymore. I know you're a busy person." Looking at Lin Rei's current appearance, Liao Yuning burst out laughing. Her voice was gentle and pleasant, and her smile was even more mischievous and cute. She looked like a little girl. However, this was what people who did not know her would think when they saw her smile. Lin Rei, on the other hand, knew how ruthless her face was. Back then, at the 5th level of the Death Canyon, that was the lightning region. There were lightning everywhere. He had personally seen how she did not stop after being corroded by the lightning. Instead, she became even more excited and walked deeper down with even more determination. Just based on this determination, she missed the chance to be cute on the label. All right, I promise you that when I return from the 9th continent, I'll make a trip to the Falling Star Pavilion. Don't worry. This time, I'll keep my word. Amen, remember what you said. Hearing Lin Rei's promise, Liao Yuning did not continue pestering him. She chuckled and pointed to Liao Bufan beside her. Oh right, Lin Rei, this is my father, Liao Bufan. He is, haha, I know. Liao Bufan, Pavilion Master of the Falling Star Pavilion. He is a peak middle-stage God Emperor expert who is just a step away from becoming a late-stage God Emperor. Amen, you know him? Liao Yuning originally wanted to introduce her father to Lin Rei. Who would have thought that Lin Rei would casually tell her all the information about him? Liao Yuning asked doubtfully. I don't know him. That time when I came to the Divine Realm, I bought a jade letter about the superpowers in the Divine Realm. Hence, I remembered him at that time. When he spoke up to here, Linli couldn't help but take another glance at Liao Bufan. Moreover, the Devil Sect can be said to be one of the top sects in the God Realm. So, how could I possibly not remember such an existence's mission? Don't you think so, Pavilion Master Liao? Hearing this, Liao Bufan and Liao families, 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 Liao family, haha. All right, let's not talk about this anymore. This time, we have only gathered for a short period of time. Hence, we shall not stay any longer. Let's part ways here. Looking at Liao Bufan, Lin Rei smiled and bade farewell to them. After that, his body silently disappeared from where he stood. When he reappeared, he had already returned to his team. Cultivation, let's part ways here. I hope that we will have a chance to meet again in the future. I hope that by then, you won't be this body's enemy. Otherwise, Arriving in front of his team, Lin Rei looked at everyone present and snorted coldly. Then, he led his team and disappeared before everyone's eyes. At this moment, after Lin Rei had disappeared, everyone present could not catch their breath, because Lin Rei's strength had exceeded their imagination. At this moment, they all thought that they would never want to see him again, and even more so, they did not want to be his enemy. Because being his enemy was just a sign of seeking death. They did not want to die like this. After so many years of cultivation, they did not want to become a pile of yellow soil in the ground. After a long time, after Lin Rei had left, Zhou Tongzi finally recovered. He opened his eyes and looked around for Lin Rei's figure. After failing to find him, Zhou Tongzi knew that Lin Rei and his team had left. He heaved a sigh of relief and stood up from the ground. Liao Bufan, you and that old fart, I did not expect your son and daughter to be acquainted with such an expert. Tell me, how are you going to compensate me for this? Hearing Zhou Tongzi's words, Liao Bufan woke up from his daze. Then, his expression turned awkward. Damn, you still have the nerve to say that. If you were not greedy for other people's treasures, do you think this would have happened? Furthermore, you are injured. Why should I help you clean up the aftermath? Stop dreaming. Haha. At this moment, on the other side. Seeing this, Yunyan smiled. Her 2 canine teeth were exposed and she was extremely mischievous. The two of you are always like this. Can't you stop for a while? Furthermore, Zhou Tongzi, don't forget that you promised that person something. Now that you have taken the pill and your injuries have healed, if you only eat and don't work, I'm afraid. Damn, how could I forget about this? At this moment, hearing Yunyan's reminder, Zhou Tongzi was instantly shocked. He reached out his hand and slapped his forehead. Then, he turned around and thanked Yun Yen. Thank you for your reminder, Fairy Yun. Then, this emperor will leave first. With that, Zhou Tongzi did not wait for the others to react. The moment he finished speaking, he quickly used his cultivation and disappeared from the spot. Ah, this old fart. Feeling Zhou Tongzi's aura disappear into the distance, Liao Bufan smiled helplessly and did not say anything. Liao Bufan, you have to save me. At this moment, just when the scene was silent, a voice suddenly appeared and attracted everyone's attention. They saw a person walking over from afar. This person's hair was white, but he was full of energy. He did not look like an old man at all. Seeing this person walking towards him, Liao Bufan's face was filled with astonishment. Damn, Wu Yanzi, why are you still here? I thought you had left long ago. Chapter 661. How is that possible? However, now is not the time to talk about this. Wu Yanzi, who had walked over, looked at Liao Bufan and said impatiently, the person who left just now was a genuine venerable grade array master. However, I didn't expect that you guys would know each other. Speaking of this, Wu Yanzi became more and more agitated. So, this time you must help me. You must help me find him. I have a lot of things to ask him about the array back then. I also have, wait, hearing Wu Yanzi talking nonstop, he couldn't refute him even if he wanted to. However, hearing him say this, Liao Bufan directly roared to calm him down. Sure enough, this method was very effective. As soon as Liao Bufan spoke, Wu Yanzi immediately shut his mouth and stopped talking. His eyes stared at him with a puzzled expression. That, Wu Yanzi, I can't help you just because I want to. You saw it too. That person is only familiar with my Jun and Yuning. So, forgive me for not being able to help you. At this moment Liao Bufan said this, but he had other intentions in his heart. Damn, I haven't been able to get in touch with such an expert yet. Would I be stupid to help you? Of course, these words could only be said in his heart. Although the two of them were friends, Wu Yanzi was a supreme-level array master after all. It wouldn't be good to offend him. You, hearing Liao Bufan's words, Wu Yanzi looked at Liao Jun with a troubled expression. His eyes were filled with pity, and he begged Liao Jun and Yuning to help him. At this moment, Liao Jun and Yuning felt Wu Yanzi's gaze. Immediately, they were startled and stopped him with a troubled expression. Senior Wu Yanzi, I really can't help you with this matter. After all, Lin Rei and I are only familiar with each other, and we don't have a deep relationship. So, I'm sorry, you should find someone else. Hearing that they had already made things clear, Wu Yanzi naturally knew that it was impossible for them to talk about this matter. So, he could only give up in the end. Sigh. Forget it. Since it's like this, then forget it. As he spoke, Wu Yanzi seemed to have aged 10 years. His entire person seemed to have become much more dispirited. Liao Bufan couldn't bear to see Wu Yanzi's current appearance. After all, the two of them had been good friends for many years. Liao Bufan thought of the words Lin Rei had said to Zhou Tongzi before he left. Well, old man, I can't introduce you to Lin Rei. After all, I'm not familiar with him. However, he's already headed to the north. Why don't you go take a look? Maybe you'll meet him there. After hearing Liao Bufan's words, the originally dispirited Wu Yanzi's expression suddenly brightened. He became much more spirited, and the dispirited aura from before disappeared at this moment. Well, you should go. Maybe you'll meet him. Although I don't know if he's a venerable level array master, if you go, you might meet him. That would be great. If you don't meet him, then you can only blame your bad luck. Speaking up to this point, Liao Bufan had already spoken up to here. As for anything else, he didn't know. Alright, let's leave this matter at that for now. I still have to return to the Sect. I won't be in the Sect for a while. I'm afraid that group of brats will be in a mess. After saying that, Liao Bufan didn't wait for Wu Yanzi's reply. He waved his hand and called out to the disciples behind him. Then, he activated his cultivation and soared into the sky, disappearing in front of everyone's eyes. As the saying goes, they came in a hurry and left in a hurry. Just like that, the people of the Falling Star Pavilion disappeared from everyone's sight. On the other side, Yun Yen looked at Liao Bufan's actions and frowned. She remembered Wu Yanzi's question and instantly became anxious. Little girl, you're very much like Lin Rei. Sure enough, just as Yun Yen was about to retreat, Wu Yanzi's questioning voice entered her ears. What the F***ck, what I'm afraid of is happening. Hearing Wu Yanzi's question, Yun Yen didn't reply for a moment. She looked at the disciples behind her and quickly retreated into the distance, disappearing from everyone's sight. Seeing this scene, Wu Yanzi was stunned and his heart was filled with helplessness. Sigh. Forget it, since I already know where Lin Rei went, I'll go directly to the north. I originally wanted to go somewhere else, but I didn't expect to encounter this situation. Since that's the case, that matter isn't important anymore. Thinking of this, Wu Yanzi looked towards the north and his gaze became determined. Then, he activated his cultivation and his body instantly disappeared. After this battle, Lin Rei's name could be said to have shaken the realm of the gods. Because of Lin Rei's last words to Zhou Tongzi, the entire realm of the gods knew where this mysterious expert went. As for Tianwei City, because of the existence of the secret territory, there was a sea of people. However, when the secret territory disappeared and everyone left, the entire Tianwei City fell into a deathly silence. After all, this was the intersection of the two realms. Here, killing people for treasures and engaging in prostitution were very common. Furthermore, this place wasn't under the jurisdiction of any sect or empire. Therefore, under normal circumstances, no one would be willing to come here. Time flew by like a white steed passing through a crack. After the incident at Tianwei City, a month had passed. In this month, Zhou Tongzi's efficiency greatly impressed Lin Rei. On the 5th day after Lin Rei left, the news that he was going to the north spread throughout the realm of the gods. Regarding this, Lin Rei was very satisfied. However, regarding this, Lin Rei wasn't the most manly person. Instead, it was the person that Lin Rei wanted people to know where he was going the most. At this moment, he was sitting in the main hall with a solemn expression on his face. At this moment, the tears in his eyes couldn't help but flow down at this moment. At this moment, in the main hall of the Xuanzong sect in the heavenly dragon mountain of Wuzhou in the north, the current sect master Lin Yun was looking at the people below with a smile on his face. He was very excited and seemed to be curious about the great thing that had happened. Uncle Bai, my father is finally here. They are finally here. Ha ha ha, ha ha, yes, the young master is finally here. At this moment, a middle-aged man stood next to Lin Yun with a murderous look on his face. His expression was as excited as Lin Rei's, and his eyes were full of memories. Look at you. It's a good thing that the young master is back. Look at all of you. Why are you standing here? Why are you crying when the young master is back? On the other side, Dian Wei looked at everyone's appearance and roared at them angrily. However, as soon as Dian Wei said that, everyone stood there speechlessly and looked at him strangely. Why are you looking at me? Did I say something wrong? Dian Wei felt a little uncomfortable with everyone's strange expressions, so he immediately responded. Humph, blockhead, can't you mind your behavior? This is a meeting, not your kennel. If you don't behave yourself, don't blame my spear for being merciless. Looking at Dian Wei, Bai Qi looked helpless. In the end, he could only wave the spear in his hand to threaten him and make him behave. However, although this method seemed very rude, it was very effective. The moment Bai Qi finished speaking, Dian Wei shut his mouth and fell silent. Lin Yun, who was sitting in the middle, was very helpless about all the changes. Alas! After hundreds of years of fighting, it's still like this. Looking at the two people next to him, although he was helpless, he was very grateful to them. After all, they were the first batch of old officials who followed his father to conquer the world. They were also his teachers and elders. Okay, stop fooling around. This meeting is called to say that I want to send someone to welcome my father. I wonder if any of you are willing to, with a plop. The moment Lin Yun finished his words, all the people present knelt on the ground and said sincerely, "We're willing to go and welcome the young master back. Please grant us our wish, Sect Master." Looking at this scene, Lin Yun was stunned for a moment. It was the first time that he had seen such a scene since he took over the sect. Haha, good. It's good that you have such intentions. However, not all of you can go this time. After all, this is the divinity, and many sects around us are coveting this place. So, not all of you can go. Hearing this, everyone was stunned. Their faces were filled with disappointment. However, this emotion quickly disappeared. After all, they had already expected this situation. Looking at everyone, Lin Yun said in a low voice with guilt, "This time, Uncle Bai and Uncle Dian Wei will welcome my father. You can bring the people of the dark group. They must miss my father very much. Take this opportunity to reunite." "Yes, we know. Please rest assured, Sect Master. After all, we will welcome the young master back." The moment Dian Wei and Bai Qi heard that, they were very excited. Thinking that they hadn't seen Lin Rei for a long time, they couldn't help but feel excited. One was Bai Qi, the god of slaughter, and the other was Dian Wei. Their killing intent was very strong. Looking at the two of them, Lin Yun smiled inwardly. Haha, it seems that my father can keep them in check. TSK, but this is also good. If I can find a chance to pass on the position of Sect Master to the next generation, I can cultivate with my father. In that case, at this moment, he looked at Dian Wei and Lin Yun as if they were two children. For a moment, Lin Yun thought of so many things that he didn't even know what he was thinking. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.